Fall has arrived in the New York, New Jersey area. A brisk afternoon in East Rutherford, New Jersey. This afternoon from the Meadowlands, it's the New York Jets hosting the New England Patriots. And hello, everyone. Along with James Lofton, I'm Mike Breen. The 97th season thus far, a lot of positives for the New York Jets and certainly a lot of highlights. But finally, they're at their first crossroads. James, last week they did not play well against Miami. Now this week they play the best team in their division. Is it too early to say this is a critical game?
I don't think so because, one thing, if you had asked most Jets way back in August before this season started and the Jet fans, will you take 4-4 at the halfway point? Everyone would have said yes unanimously. But if you lose 2 ball games going into your bye week at the midpoint of the season, that could be disastrous and a momentum killer and also cost any hopes that they have of going to the playoffs.
For them to avoid a 3-game losing streak, what they've got to do is get to Drew Bledsoe. They didn't do it last week against Marino. They've got to get to him. How do they do it?
Well, very few people get to Drew Bledsoe. The one way is straight up the middle. That means Pepper Johnson and Marvin Jones are going to have to blitz, and that's something that the Jets don't like to do.
For Bledsoe, he did not play well the last time these two teams went at each other. He said he was too hyped up. But this week, business as usual, right?
Well, I don't know if it's business as usual. This guy has finally become a dad on Thursday. He and his wife had their first child, so maybe being a dad will make him a much calmer and nicer guy.
Now, Bledsoe might be a little bit calm, but some of the other players, Len Berman, that has not been the case during the week.
Well, Mike, the coaching situation has certainly simmered down from week number 3 in Foxborough, but there has been a fascinating war of words among some of the players. Victor Green says that Drew Bledsoe rattles easily, and Jimmy Hitchcock says that Keyshawn Johnson talks too much. Now, Keyshawn says he's taken that newspaper clip and he's placed it under his pillow. I'm thinking that if he kept all of his controversial clips under his pillow, he wouldn't have need for a pillow. We'll be back with the opening kickoff in the Meadowlands, the Jets and Patriots, in just a minute.
For a big afternoon, they hope. They were disappointed last week in the loss to the Dolphins. They want to avoid a 2-game losing streak, not a 3, as we said a little earlier. Adam Vinatieri, one of the best young kickers in the NFL. Aaron Glenn, number 1 in the NFL in kickoff returns, will start at the 4. And Phil Persky quickly makes the stop at the 20, a 16-yard return for Glenn. Neil O'Donnell, if he's had time this year, he has been very solid. He did not have time in the first New England game. His offensive line needs to rebound. Elliott, Halalay, Duffy will start with a knee injury. O'Dwyer and David Williams at the right tackle. Morrell needs to bounce back. Bad game last week. Anderson, the fullback. Johnson, Graham, the wide receivers, and Kyle Brady at the tight end. Of course, Wayne Corbett, we'll see a lot of him as the 3rd wide receiver. They'll start at their own 20. Graham goes in motion. Adrian Morrell. Morrell nearly broke the tackle. Jimmy Hitchcock tripped him up. And the starting defense now for the New England Patriots. And the key man in the front 4, Willie McGinnis, finally back from the knee injuries. Only played in 1 game. Mike Jones will start for the injured Ferrick Collins. Slade, Collins, and Johnson having terrific years. Law and Hitchcock, the corners. Lawyer Malloy, one of the more underrated safeties in the league. And Willie Clay, who's really coming into his own as well. Pick up a 4 from Morrell. That was his longest game all of last week when he struggled against Miami. A huge hole. And finally taken down Ty Law, the initial hit. An 11-yard pickup for Adrian Morrell. And already some extra pushing and shoving after the whistle.
Yeah, but the key here, take a look at Adrian Morrell's feet while he's walking back to the huddle. On the opening kickoff, Aaron Glenn slipped when he tried to make a break. Morrell, when he tried to round the corner on that first run, lost his footing a little bit. I was on the field. It's not that the field is wet, but there's moisture in the air, and that moisture is locked into this AstroTurf.
There is a chance of rain later in the day. It's not expected until after this game should be over. Johnson in motion. They stay with Morrell. Lawyer Malloy, the first to hit him, gets some help, and he's taken down at the 34.
Yeah, during the preseason, this field got rained on, and it was really bad. This morning, they're out here, they're trying to clean this thing. There's a big concert last night. The Rolling Stones were here. This turf is not battle tested. It's brand new. I said there was a lot of slipping during the preseason. Well, they tried to rough it up and get some grooves in it so that it would hold a little better, and the jury's still out on it.
1 yard loss on the last carry, second and 11. Kyle Brady is split out along with 3 wide receivers. O'Donnell to throw for the first time. Has some room in front of him. Chris Slade chasing and incomplete. Intended for Brady. As Slade, who had that great game the first time these two teams played each other, with some good pursuit.
You know, O'Donnell had some success scrambling against New England in the first ball game. That time, he has a clear path in front of him. He may pick up 5 or 6 yards. He can make it a 3rd and 6 instead of a 3rd and 11 or 3rd and 12. This is a tough situation. They've been so good on 3rd down. Willie Clay said they have the best 3rd down package in all of football. But that 3rd down package is good on 3rd, 5, and 6 and 7.
4 wide receivers, 3rd and 11. O'Donnell the shotgun, Malloy on the blitz. O'Donnell hit, and it's incomplete. Ted Johnson getting to Neil O'Donnell, and the Jets will have to punt.
Yeah, they brought 4 guys that time. You expect Willie McGinnis to come. He doesn't come. He's covering Wayne Corbett down the field. They blitz Ted Johnson up the middle, and also Teddy Bruschi comes in. They're confusing the Jets offensive line already.
John Hall, the rookie place kicker, also punting. Brian Hansen out with a knee injury. And Hall high but short, make it at the 19. Slowed down by Chris Hayes, but gets a couple of more yards up to about the 33-yard line. Chad Cascadden on the tackle. And John Hall, that one went 46 yards. The rookie doing the punting as well this afternoon.
NBC is brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. By Acura, the true definition of luxury, yours. By American Express, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more. And by AT&T, it's all within your reach.
The first time these two teams met each other, it was the return of Bill Parcells. Now it's the return of Pete Carroll. Carroll, of course, the head coach of the Jets back in '94, was an assistant 3 years prior to that. 1st and 10 of the 27 for Bledsoe. Curtis Martin. And Martin gets maybe 2 yards. Not much more than that. Mo Lewis makes the tackle. And let's take a look at the New England offense. The offensive line of having a very strong year. A little banged up. Zephyrus Moss has a bad back, so they'll have to watch him and how he goes during the course of the game. Martin had that great game against the Jets in the first matchup. Byers, who Bill Parcells loves. Terry Glenn, near 100%. Jefferson, and of course the great Ben Coates, perhaps the best in the game at tight end. Bledsoe's first pass complete to Martin. Marvin Jones runs him out. Very close to a first down. They're about 1.5 yards short. The Jet defense, and this certainly the key this afternoon. They need to put pressure. Rick Lyle is the sack leader. Ernie Logan and Hugh Douglas, who has really been struggling. Lewis, Johnson, Jones is the rookie farrier. Glennon Smith, 5 corners. Smith has been struggling this year. Breen and Henderson at the safeties. 3rd and a little more than 1. Glenn goes in motion. Bledsoe to Ben Coates. He's got it in Jet territory, and they drag him down at about the 33-yard line. A 30-yard pickup. Victor Green and Mo Lewis on the stop. And this is where New England's so strong on their opening drive.
Yeah, but if you're Mo Lewis, you know, you have Ben Coates, who's a great blocker in front of you, and Ben Coates just swats them out of the way. Mo Lewis thinks this guy's going to try and block me. They're going to try and run wide on me. Swats him out of the way. He gets downfield. Great touch pass by Drew Bledsoe. There's always a tendency to overthrow that ball when that guy's that wide open.
The Patriots have scored touchdowns on their opening drive 4 of the 6 games. Martin cuts back and is tripped up. Aaron Glenn and Rick Lyle in the area. And, of course, Curtis Martin in the first matchup back in September in Foxborough. That's his overall numbers, but he had 199 of them against the Jets.
Yeah, but that little cutback there is something that, you know, he's very good at, and he has great vision. Bill Parcells almost, you know, he discouraged that a little bit. He didn't want him to cut back and lose yardage. When he came in, Pete Carroll gave him the green light. He said, you run wherever you want to. You can do it. You're the man.
2nd and 5. Martin. James Farrier does a good job throwing off the block, and the rookie makes the tackle.
I think for Bruce Armstrong, a guy who has blocked against everybody in the AFC, going against Ferrier, he has to learn what he can do. He's used to going against Bruce Smith, anybody else that you'll throw at him as an all-pro. Ferrier is learning his game, his #1 pick, a guy with a lot of speed. And sometimes when you're a big guy like Bruce Armstrong, you think those speed guys are going to try and run around you. That time Ferrier did a great job in holding his ground, but I would say Bruce Armstrong will win his share of the matchups today.
3rd and 4. Jefferson in motion. They got 2 tight ends in. And a lot of movement on the line. First flags. And Tom White will be our referee this afternoon.
False start. Offense. Quarterback pulling out without the ball. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Tom White, a former running back at his high school in Philadelphia. They make running backs a little bit bigger these days.
I knew you weren't going to say pro running back. But these guys are athletes, and you should watch them during pregame warm-up. They come out, they're running, they're stretching, they're doing just like everybody else. They're just not doing it as fast.
3rd and 9. A penalty on Bledsoe. Bledsoe, it's hit, intercepted, Jerome Henderson. Henderson knocked out of bounds by Ben Coates. Bledsoe got hit, and Henderson picked it off.
Two things happen. First, the penalty kills them. They end up in 3rd and 11. So Sean Jefferson is crossing at about 5 or 6 yards. That's not going to get him the first down if he throws to him right away. Sean Jefferson will come into your screen, crossing right there. There he is. He's open, but he gets flushed. He tried to throw to him late, off the mark. Jerome Henderson picks it up, and a lot of speed by Ben Coates to run this guy down, even though he had the angle on.
Ernie Logan made the hit as he was throwing it. Hugh Douglas made initial contact. As O'Donnell throws, complete. Baxter, the tight end, breaks 1 tackle and taken down at the 22-yard line. Fred Baxter is becoming more of a receiver. That's his 10th reception of the season. He had only 7 all of 96.
And Chris Slade came over to the sideline after the play, and he was motioning at Willie McGinnis. McGinnis is not in the ball game right now. He is going to be their rush guy. He's not 100%. That knee isn't ready to go every down, but they need him in the ball game. And Slade is saying, hey, we're in a critical part of the field. Get this guy in the ball game.
2nd and 3. Adrian Malloy. He's got the first down. Lauren Malloy. And one of the officials taking a shot as well. Malloy and Ted Johnson make the tackle. Ed Kukart, the umpire, a little shaken up on the play.
Yeah, and Kukart really comes up and feels well on this. The officials want to get out of the way. He takes that one right in the gut. You can see his hat go one wide.
And I think his head hit the turf.
Yeah. These guys are so vulnerable. I've often wondered, you take a baseball umpire, and that guy will wear the flak thing, the helmet. I think that these guys need a little bit of protection. Maybe even like a thing like boxers wear when they're warming up, just to protect the back of that head so that they don't get hurt. You see, when he goes down, the first thing that hits is his head. Now, all the players have on helmets, and they're protected. These guys are out there. They're very vulnerable. They do their job. They're in the right place. That time, he's supposed to step up toward the line, which is what he did. Adrian Morrell cuts back, and he cuts back right into where Ed was, the umpire.
Especially the umpire. They tend to get in that situation quite a bit. And the Jets medical staff attending to Kukart.
Yeah, he has to be a little dizzy right now, just trying to collect his faculties. And umpire, we talked about them being athletes. He doesn't want to leave the ball game at this juncture. It's just getting started. His adrenaline is up, just like the players' adrenaline, and that adrenaline will probably make that pain subside for a little while. But tonight, on the way home, he's going to need maybe a pain reliever, because he's going to have a bit of a headache.
They do such a great job. Jerry Seaman, the supervisor of officials, is in attendance here this afternoon at the Meadowlands. And, so often you only talk about them when they make a controversial call, but week in and week out, they do a terrific job.
Yeah, he's back up. You see him putting that whistle back together and getting his things He's going to go off the field now. He didn't get as big a rousing applause as some of the players do when they walk off, though, did he?
No, he did not.
He got a little smattering applause, though.
And hopefully he'll be able to return. Well, I just got the wind knocked out of him, at least temporarily. And he looks okay now. When they smile, when they start to smile, then you know.
What I think they've done is they have changed positions. He may be the side judge now, and they've substituted. Right there, the line judge has moved in. That line judge looks a little tentative now also.
Versatility in officiating. Jets with a first down off that last Morrell run. Morrell again. Mark Wheeler hits him right at the line of scrimmage and throws him back for perhaps a yard loss.
I hate to say it, but, the offensive coordinator said, well, we got the official on that first play. Let's run it again. That looked like the same play. It looked like they were going for him again.
Wheeler was not fooled. Wheeler, who's played well. And there you see Coupart still feeling the effects. The Patriot defense.
The red zone is the important area of the field. You call it red, green. Some people call it green because they like to think go. Red connotates stop, but they want to get the ball in the end zone here.
2nd and 9. O'Donnell and Wheeler puts him down. First sack of the game. O'Donnell got sacked 7 times up in Foxborough back in September.
Yeah, a sack here in this area of the field doesn't hurt you as much. Granted, they can get a first down if they get inside the 5, but you're trying to throw in the end zone. And what happens when you get around that 12, 13-yard line, you only have 23 yards of field to work with. You back it up now to the 17. They have 27 yards of depth to work with. So that means Keyshawn Johnson, Wayne Corbett, there's more room to work, more room for the safeties to cover behind them. That makes it tougher on the defense.
3rd and 13. O'Donnell almost intercepted. Willie Clay was right there as it was intended for Wayne Corbett. And John Hall will come on for his first field goal attempt.
That has to be the first pass that I've seen all year long in Wayne Corbett's vicinity that he didn't come up with. I mean, we'll have a better view of it right here, coming right into your living room, just a little bit off the outstretched arms. And Neil O'Donnell does a good job that time in moving around in the pocket. He knows that his quarterback clock is ticking and that he doesn't have a lot of time yet.
He has not had a lot of time anytime he's dropped back so far, although just the 1 sack. 35-yarder for Hall. And he missed it. So Hall, this is for what him is close range. He's got 3 over 50, but Bill Parcells, rookie free agent, comes up short this time.
Hall thought he had this one, but just a little wide right.
Jets come up short on their first trip into the red zone as John Hall misses a 35-yarder. He's missed actually 3 field goals, 35 and less, whereas over 50 yards, he's 3 for 3.
Well, and John Hall does like a little tomahawk thing, and we thought he was lining it up right in the middle of the goalpost. He says it's just a little bit to the right of center. This is going to sound crazy. College goalposts are a little wider. He may have to, start lining that thing up in the center because he's pushed a couple wide right.
Patriots take over their own 25. Curtis Martin. Martin finds a hole and inches up to the 31-yard line. James Farrier in on the tackle. And let's get an update on Ed Coukart. Len Berman.
Mike, maybe a first, an injury update on one of the officials. Ed Coukart had a bruised back. He's okay. He missed 1 or 2 plays. He's back in there. He's a trooper. I like James Lofton's idea. Maybe they should protect these guys better. If not regular football helmets, maybe the baseball batters kind of helmets to give these guys a better chance.
You and I could market that, Len.
Good idea.
Always thinking money. But at least the umpire, seen a couple of those where they've gotten run over in the past several weeks. Bledsoe to Terry Glenn, and Glenn wrapped up by Aaron Glenn. And that's the matchup that the Jets hope will work in their favor as Terry Glenn has been injured, had the ankle almost 100%, and he's so explosive. Aaron Glenn's a guy to try and keep him in check.
Well, they did a lot on that play. They moved Keith Byers, then they send Aaron Glenn in motion. And the other guy, they send Terry Glenn. Aaron Glenn catches the ball. No, Terry Glenn goes in motion. Aaron Glenn comes. They may be related. The 2 Glenn guys got together, and it wasn't much of a game for the Patriots.
Both pretty talented football players. That's a good tackle from Aaron Glenn. 3rd and 7. Blitz from the Jets. Bledsoe complete to Glenn. Otis Smith hits him, and they're shy of a first down. Tom Tufa will come on to punt.
Yeah, and the Jets do a good time in that job in coming after. Good job that time in coming after Drew Bledsoe, making him throw the ball early. Don't give him a chance to read downfield, get it to the quote the hot receiver, and you come up and you make tackles. And when you make tackles against the wide receivers in the open field, that's a good thing.
Leon Johnson back. Bill Parcells says Tufa is the best punter in the NFL right now, and he gets off a beauty. Johnson after 12. And hit hard, thrown down. A 55-yard punt. Dave Meggett in on the tackle, 7-yard return. Jets will take over, no score. The MetLife Blimp, Snoopy 1 providing a bird's eye view of today's NFL action. Together, Snoopy 1 and Snoopy 2 have provided television coverage of over 70 sporting events this year. Look to the skies for Snoopy and the MetLife Blimp. This is our first Blimp game together.
Snoopy 1?
That's what it says here.
Oh, I thought maybe it would have like a 1 on it or something like that on his helmet.
Adrian Morrell hit quickly and taken down. Ted Johnson on the tackle. I find this, again, our first Blimp game. This is an emotional moment for me.
You love a good Blimp.
Morrell has been the workhorse early after last week's very poor performance. He only had 29 yards on 13 carries against the Dolphins. He already has 26 yards on 6 after that last rush. Second down. O'Donnell looks downfield for Corbett. Almost caught it. And there's a flag. Lawyer Malloy and Corbett had a lot of contact. Ty Law was there as well.
Yeah, and Wayne Corbett was nowhere near the intended receiver. You line up in a 3-wide receiver set. Put Graham on one side. Keyshawn Johnson flaked out wide on the other side. Corbett.
Pass interference. Number 36, defense. That's a first down.
Corbett lines up in the slot on the same side of the field as Jeff Graham, and it's just pure hustle because everyone else is covered, and this guy just says, I'm going to run and make something happen. His job is just to clear out on that play. You saw Neil O'Donnell look quickly to the left to try and get the ball to Keyshawn Johnson. Nothing there. Most receivers, that's time to take it off. Take a day off, lollygag down the field, think about other things you got to do later in the day. Lollygag, not Wayne Corbett.
An official will call a timeout.
You've got a kink in the chains. You know, when you have to move those things in a hurry, they get knotted up, and it looks like they're on the court of maybe one of the coaches. That's why that big white banner right there, you want to keep everybody out of there. All these guys are supposed to stay back. This guy, he's supposed to be back. See, they just move back a little bit. When I draw on them, it moves them back. Everybody move back because the guys in the chains need to move up and down the field. This is a magic thing.
You're wonderful. First and 10. Ball now at the 38. Morrell cuts back and taking down Henry Thomas with the tackle. We want to talk about impact players. Pete Carroll loves what Henry Thomas has brought to this team. Carroll, of course, had him back when they were both youngsters in Minnesota. But he's got the perfect personality to come in first year and be a leader.
Yeah, and I asked Henry on the field before the game, said, you're in your 11th year. Have you slowed down? And he grinned at me. He's out there warming up, doing the stretch. He looks like a guy in the ballet thing. Says, I haven't lost any speed. He said, I can still turn on. He has 4 sacks this season already.
Made a lot of big plays. O'Donnell, Jeff Graham. Graham pushed out of bounds by Jimmy Hitchcock. Well, the Jets get a first down at the 19-yard line, a 15-yard pickup.
And Jimmy Hitchcock is a guy who's kind of wondering, okay, where did Jeff Graham come from? You know, when one of the things about Hitchcock is some guys say he can get lost in coverage a little bit. He gets bumped off by Corbett. You have to realize when your guy is going in motion, somebody's going to try and rub you off. That's what it's called, a rub, because you're not allowed to bump, you're not allowed to pick. He was rubbed off of the coverage, and he has to fight through that. He has to anticipate it.
Hitchcock and Keyshawn Johnson, war of words during the course of the week in the local papers as Adrian Morrell bullies his way down to about the 15-yard line. Mark Wheeler in on the tackle right now. Let's go back to Greg Gumbel in New York for an update. Greg?
All right, Michael, Irving, Texas. Mark Brunell and the Jaguars down 3 points. Not anymore. 6-yard touchdown pass to Jimmy Smith. He beat Kevin Smith on the play with the extra point. Jacksonville up on the Cowboys, 7-3 in the first. Mike?
Thanks, Craig. It's amazing Brunell's even playing.
Yeah, but you talk about a critical game for the Jets. Imagine how critical this one is in Big D if they drop that ball game.
Where expectations are a little bit higher. 2nd and 6. Morrell quickly hit and taken down. Todd Collins shook off Richie Anderson's alleged block and made the tackle.
Yeah, but sometimes, you know, if you're blocking at the line of scrimmage, you expect the guy to go in the hole. Adrian Morrell is a cutback, bounce out type of runner, and he's supposed to run it up in there. What he does is he heads to the outside. And the minute he does that, the defensive guys who've been positioned, who've been pushed to the outside, get off their blocks and they make the tackle.
Hurt the hand on the play. Now it's 3rd and 8. This is normally Wayne Corbett time. As Corbett leads the AFC in 3rd down receptions. He's in the game. O'Donnell in the shotgun. O'Donnell has time, goes for the end zone for Johnson, and he's out of bounds. Jimmy Hitchcock, the two pals, I'm sure, looking forward to going with each other. Good coverage from Jimmy Hitchcock on that one.
Now, it would be interesting to have the transmitters hooked up to these two guys' mouthpieces to see if there's any talking going on at all. Keyshawn Johnson, he's not the primary receiver there. That's why he just bends a little lazily to the outside there instead of really squeezing the field and giving Neil O'Donnell the big target to throw that ball in.
Another 35-yarder from Hall, who missed his first attempt today from the same distance. And this one is good. There was a second where you thought maybe it might go wide right again, but the Jets are on the board.
The NFL on NBC next.
That's backup quarterback Glenn Foley, a guy who Parcells calls a street fighter. Well, he needs to be a little more tender with his hands now, because with Brian Hansen, the punter, out, Glenn Foley becomes the holder for John Hall. And Hall had missed 2 in a row with Foley as the holder. And that time, that kick, Hall just tried to nurse that one through, and he and Foley have to get this thing worked out, kicking the ball.
They'd make it back. Hall credits Hansen for a lot of his success. And there's the touchback. Number 21 on the season for John Hall. And that's more than the NFL leader all of 96. So Bledsoe will come back on once again. Bledsoe.
See, that's the problem. The Jet players are just too small nowadays. That guy, he sprinted out there. He got that tee off the field, and he's wearing that big jersey. He needs to tuck that thing in, or the uniform guys are going to find him some money.
See, now I know you're old, because that's the style now. The baggier, the better. Bledsoe on 1st down. Curtis Martin. Pepper Johnson made some contact, as well as Hugh Douglas. As Martin got up to about the 25. A 5-yard pickup. Bledsoe, as we mentioned earlier, became a dad on Thursday for the first time. Stewart, 6 pounds, 2 ounces.
Stewart McQueen, right?
That's right. He said he was very proud of his wife and how tough she was.
Yeah, but he takes his wife to the hospital, stops for gas, stops to get himself a bite to eat in the morning. So, she'll have the baby 6 or 7 hours. So 2 hours after they get to the hospital, little stew pops out.
Bledsoe complete to Coates, and Coates quickly brought down by Otis Smith.
Yeah, good downfield coverage. Aaron Glenn on Terry Glenn. That's where Drew Bledsoe was looking. They're running a corner route where he starts to the inside, goes back to the outside. And Terry Glenn is a guy who, a lot of skills, but his rookie year he had a hamstring injury. He got the verbal abuse from Bill Parcells. And this year he's had an ankle injury, so he's never really been at full speed. Whereas Aaron Glenn is just a tough nut. He has a little mini cast on his right hand right now. He's playing through that. He hurt his thumb in practice on Friday.
So that will end the first quarter. Patriots have a 3rd and inches coming up. Jets lead at 3-0.
Broncos, the Raiders. John Elway leads the league's only undefeated team against Jeff George and arch rival Oakland. Or the Dolphins face the Ravens, or the Steelers beat the Bengals. The NFL on NBC next.
Quick first quarter at the Meadowlands. Jets leading. And you see number 99, Hugh Douglas. It has been a rough stretch for him.
Well, I think Hugh has a bit of a legitimate gripe. He's been moved from the 4-3 to the 3-4, but he dropped about 15 or 20 pounds to play in the 4-3, so he'd have more speed.
Keith Byers gets his first call, and the Patriots say they have it. Bledsoe signaling.
If it's on the line, they have it. Yeah, it's on that line. All you have to do is touch that line, and you have the first down.
And Tom White makes it official. Byers makes his first appearance for Pete Carroll and gets the first down.
Yeah, but back to Hugh Douglas. I mean, here's a guy who weighed about 285 pounds last year. They say, we're going to play the 4-man front. You're going to be an outside-in pass rushing. Lose some weight, so you have that speed. Well, he lost the weight. Then they switch him to a 3-4. And the 3-4, you have to play right in front of him.
And Drew Bledsoe calls timeout. I think substitution problems right now. Ben Coates walked off. He was limping. Sam Gash started to run on the field, then came back out. And the Patriots have to burn a timeout here in the second quarter.
NBC is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By IBM, solutions for a small planet. By Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light, who reminds you the 3 most important words are, "Hey, beer man."
Overcast October afternoon in New York City. And across the river at the Meadowlands, Jets leading 3-0. 1st and 10 for the Patriots. All at their own 30. Curtis Martin breaks a tackle and keeps going all the way up to the 45. First down for Curtis Martin on a 15-yard run. Glenn and Jerome Henderson finally bring him down. And that's the beauty of Curtis Martin. He doesn't give up on any runs. A very difficult man to tackle.
Yeah, but so much in football is made of getting, the number of guys in the box. And that time what they do is they split Sam Gash, the fullback, out. It takes away one of the defenders. It takes one of the linebackers away from the line of scrimmage. Instead of playing a 3-4, you're reduced to playing a 3-3. And you do that, we know where we can run. And Larry Kennan and Carl Smith get together with this game plan, and every once in a while you can trick the other guy. You can't do it very often, but every once in a while you can do it.
Coates moves back in, goes in motion on first down. Bledsoe down at the line of scrimmage. Eddie Logan got his hand on it.
And you don't think of Drew Bledsoe being 6'5" or 6'6", him getting balls knocked down. But one of the things that he does when he gets a little sloppy is he throws the ball from a lower position than normal. He would like to throw this ball over the top, and that ball is coming in right about that level instead of up here above his head. And that's where he gets his passes knocked down.
Logan's played a bunch of different positions. Defensive tackle, nose tackle, defensive end. All this year. Martin on the pitch. Doesn't go anywhere. Aaron Glenn. Pepper Johnson got in his way early, and then Glenn made the tackle.
Well, Troy Brown, the wide receiver, he comes in motion, and he's going to crack on the defensive end. And a lot of times when that happens, the DBs follow him in there, and then they watch the play because there are a lot of big guys in there. You have linemen pulling, you have a fullback leading. Those guys don't want to get mixed up in the play. Aaron Glenn, the smallest defensive player on the field, stuck his nose in there, made that tackle. Little guys who play big. That's what the NFL is all about.
3rd and 11, Bledsoe in the shotgun. Complete to Martin at the 49, way shy of the first down. Jerome Henderson right there to make sure Martin goes nowhere. And 4th down for the Patriots. Tupa back out on the field.
Yeah, and as mysterious as it would sound, that Terry Glenn, the Patriots' great wide receiver, was on the bench the last 2 plays.
Tupa, as we mentioned earlier, he's leading the league right now. He says don't count on it at the end of the year. Punters from New England do not lead the NFL. Leon Johnson back standing at his own 10-yard line. And Johnson will call for a fair catch right at the 15. David Meggett. Ask him how he's doing. A 35-yard kick. And no return. Early second quarter, Tufa and the Patriots trailing 3-0. At NBCSports.com, find out what's going on behind the scenes around the league with Gil Brandt's news and notes. This week's poll: who has been this year's best free agent acquisition? All right, Mr. Modem.
Well, you mentioned Gil Brandt there. He lives in Dallas. I see him around town every once in a while. He said, "You got to check out my website because I got a lot of good stuff on it." When I checked it out, I don't want to let him know. There's some stuff I'm using in the game that I got off his website.
One free agent acquisition out there right now. Henry Thomas, actually just coming off, but he's one of the key free agent acquisitions. Has helped the Patriots. O'Donnell passing on first down. No one to throw to. Now gets Adrian Morrell. And Morrell goes nowhere. Jimmy Hitchcock able to bring him down right away. Right back of the line of scrimmage. Well, Hitchcock thus far backing up all the talk from earlier in the week. He called Keyshawn Johnson selfish.
Yeah, and this is something that the Jets told us they were going to do. Parcells said we're going to try the no huddle. Just going to sprinkle it in and try and keep the regular people on the field.
2nd and 10. Morrell. And Morrell hit. Ty Law with the tackle.
You know, one of the things that most offensive coordinators expect as a given is that the wide receivers are going to be able to block the defensive backs. That time, Jeff Graham lined up over Ty Law. Ty Law beats him. He fought the Law.
No, don't go there.
Won't do it.
Thank you.
Ty Law made the tackle.
Willie McGinnis in on 3rd down, 3rd and 7. O'Donnell for Corbett. Did he get? Oh, no. Broken up by Laura Malloy. Corbett thought he had a chance on the second effort, but Malloy right there to make the play.
You know, we talked about fall coming, and the weather has dipped down a little bit over what it's been in the past couple of weeks. That time, Wayne Corbett, that ball hits him in the chest, and Wayne Corbett is a hands guy. Keyshawn Johnson is our guy who likes to catch the ball in his body. It was deflected by a guy, but that ball gets into his body, and when that happens to receivers, normally bad things happen.
Looked like Ted Johnson got a piece of it. Hall's first kick was 46 yards. And this one, Meggett with a fair catch at the 41-yard line. Hall's second kick, a 41-yarder. So Hall doing a pretty good job filling in for the injured Brian Hansen. The last kicker to punt and be the place kicker full-time for a team was back in 1980 and 81, Frank Corral with the Rams.
and these two guys get tangled up a little bit. You know, they're ex-teammates just talking about what they do during the offseason.
The NFL on NBC next.
Jets defensive coordinator Bill Belichick on your left. His defense solid early. Bledsoe is in England their best field position. And Bledsoe taken down. He's sacked. Mo Lewis and Hugh Douglas helping out, but Lewis the one that made the hit.
And Aaron Glenn is in on that also. So, you know, you bring some guys that you don't expect. You bring a corner from the outside. Also Mo Lewis, and you overload an area. You bring extra guys in, and you just have too many guys to block. You see Lovett Purnell, he's backing off of a guy, and all of a sudden guys are going, okay, I know I got to block somebody, and this guy is the big guy. I'm going to block the big guy, but here's a little fast guy. Turn to him, and then Mo Lewis seems to come up with a lot of big plays for his Jets team. 4th sack of the season for Lewis, complete the Jefferson up to the 42-yard line, back to the initial line of scrimmage, 10-yard pickup. There's Victor Green and Jefferson. That's just a little intimidation there, because Victor Green is a very, very tough player, and Sean Jefferson will go down in the record books as more of a finesse player. You know, he's not the most physical guy. You see the hard jam there by Aaron Glenn, and then on the ground, all you have to do is touch him. That's not Victor Green's style. A tackle is a tackle is a tackle, and I'm gonna put my shoulder in on the guy.
3rd and 8. Bledsoe around. Glenn trips him up. And it looks like he got the first down. Bledsoe a little bit of a leap after Aaron Glenn hit him.
Yeah, and Drew Bledsoe showed me some courage there. A lot of quarterbacks would say, okay, I'll take it to the sideline, let Tupa come on and punt. He decides, I'm going to run. He takes this straight up there, and that's a hard tackle by Aaron Glenn. Right around the knee. And, you know, I think if you're Bob Kraft, the owner of this team, you know, you go, okay, is that guy insured, and how do we pay off if he gets hurt?
So a first down. There is no questioning Bledsoe's toughness, and a very durable quarterback as well. Patriots in jet territory. Mo Lewis on the left. Mo Lewis. And he's sacked again. Jason Ferguson helps finish it off.
They have just a little bit of a stunt on. Rucci has to come out and pick up Mo Lewis. He's just late getting there because there's a guy over him. And as a guard, you check over to outside first. He checks over, and all the linebacker over has to do is step up and fake at him. That gives Mo Lewis enough time to come in from the outside.
Curtis Martin. Marvin Jones hit him right away. And the Jet defense fired up. Mo Lewis said they were flat last week against Miami. And you ask yourself, James, and you played on a lot of big-time teams, how when you get to a big game like that, do you come out flat?
Well, you know, they made some big plays last week during the course of the game. They had a long pass to Corbett. Marino comes right back at him. They have a play where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the running back for Miami, he gets loose, he's uncovered, and there's no one there to make the stop. And when you have a mental error, that seems to deflate the whole team. And Bill Parcells, by taking them out of pads this week, he wants them to be physically and mentally sharp for this ball game.
3rd and 17. Bledsoe gets to Meggett. And Jerome Henderson takes Meggett down at the 45. They're about 6 yards shy of the first down. And Bledsoe will walk off again. The Jet defense doing a very solid job, especially on these 3rd down plays, although that one difficult, 3rd and 17.
Yeah, and in that drive, 2 sacks by Mo Lewis. We thought to pressure Drew Bledsoe, you're going to have to come up the middle. And maybe that's what the Patriots thought. Maybe that's the conventional wisdom. They go against it, bring Mo Lewis off the corner. He gets 2 sacks.
Tupa had a punt block by Corwin Brown in the first game between the two. And this one a short kick. And gets a lovely bounce for the Patriots. And stopped right there, Larry Wiggum at the 1 yard line. 43-yard punt for Tom Tupa. And the Jets with their backs to the wall as they take over here at the 1.
Had some pretty strong opinions on the Patriots about what the players could and could not do. And Chris Slade was a linebacker we thought was just a rush guy. He benched him for the last 7 games of the season last year. And Slade is one of those guys who takes this one very personally.
They moved the ball up to the 3. That's where the Jets will start. O'Donnell under pressure. And just gets rid of it, but there's the flag.
At the safety also.
Henry Thomas.
We saw Henry Thomas. He's been around long enough. He gave the safety the 2-point signal.
So Tom White makes the call. And Henry Thomas gets 2 points for the Patriots.
Now, Neil O'Donnell, you have to know exactly where you are on the football field, but that time, Matt O'Dwyer just gets beat right around the corner, up the middle. And Henry Thomas told me, he said, Matt O'Dwyer is strong, but I can give him a little move and get past him. And that time, he gets into him very quickly. O'Dwyer can't get the arms extended. When you can't get the arms extended, you can't lock that guy out and keep him away. Neil O'Donnell, he's defenseless in this one. You know, we'll look at it and we'll say, well, O'Donnell should have gotten rid of the ball. He didn't have time to get rid of it. And really, giving up 2 points is better than throwing an interception and having someone run it back for 6 points.
So it's now 3-2 here at the Meadowlands. Right now, let's go back to New York. Greg Gumbel, another update. Greg?
All right, Mike, up until just a moment ago, the Dallas Cowboys, the only team in the league without a rushing touchdown. Emmitt Smith, number 116 for his career, his first of the season. A little satisfaction for Emmitt Smith as Dallas takes the lead on the Jaguars. Mike.
Looks like he was going to linger there for a while.
Well, he hadn't been in there since last November in quite some time.
So O'Donnell unable to get rid of the ball quick enough. And it's 3-2 here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Which is appropriate, you know, World Series weekend and all that.
Hall will kick it from the 20-yard line. Meggett is back at the 6. And taken out at about the 29-yard line. 23-yard return. Gerald Soule made the initial contact and Raymond Austin on the tackle. Remember, Hall was kicking that from way back at the 20.
Into the wind.
There's no question about the leg strength from the rookie free agent from Wisconsin. The teammates actually like him. The guy likes to tackle, physical out on the field.
Hey,
Kicker's usually isolated.
He's just a rookie. They're just getting to know him. But you're right. He's not one of the other guys. He's one of the guys.
1st and 10 at their own 29. Curtis Martin. Martin hit Logan, the initial hit. Maybe about a 3-yard pickup. Let's go back down to the field. Len Berman.
Oh, thanks, Mike. I think what's made the Jets defense so effective in the first half is there's been so much talk about the ineffectiveness of the 3-4, but they keep lining up a 4th lineman as a linebacker, sometimes a 5th, sometimes the linebacker's in the 3-point stance, and it may be a 3-4, but in name only. It's looking more like a 4-3 oftentimes today.
That's right, Len. And Mo Lewis, a big part of that. Lewis has been in the backfield quite a bit. 2nd and 7. Bledsoe has time. Complete. They'll hit right away at about the 35-yard line. Martin out of the backfield. Pepper Johnson makes the tackle. And a 3rd and a little more than 3 coming up.
You know, one of the signatures of Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells' defense is we don't give up the big play. And if you watch Drew Bledsoe today, he's gone back. He's looked downfield in that pocket, but he hasn't had anywhere to throw the ball downfield. He's had to take everything underneath.
Meggett the lone setback. 3 wide receivers as Vincent Brisby is in. They go to Meggett. Meggett has a 1st down. Corwin Brown trying to tackle him, and Dave Meggett with a terrific run after the catch down to the 46, an 18-yard pickup.
Now, I was talking to some of the New England players on the field, and I'm trying to get the inside scoop, and I said, Dave Meggett, he's been in the league 9 years. Has the guy lost a step? He's got the smallest little step that he takes. You can say, it's hard to tell if he's lost a step because he takes so many of them. That rat-a-tat-tat-tat, and then he makes a quick move, and he cuts back inside. And that quick start and stop is so tough to defend.
This one deflected. Pepper Johnson got his hand on it, intended for Coates. So the 33-year-old Pepper Johnson coming up with a solid play.
Yeah, and they like the play-action fake, but that time they don't fool anyone. Pepper Johnson, and that's the elbow that is screwed up. He has to jump with that left arm, get it out there. If that arm is straight, Pepper Johnson will probably tell us, I could have caught that with one hand and picked it off. That's what he'll say after the game.
He didn't get much height on that jump.
The vertical leaves you after a while.
Martin on 2nd and 10. Mo Lewis gets him from behind. Marvin Jones is waiting for him as well.
It's very critical when you're a Patriot lineman or a Lubbock Purnell who came in. Pepper Johnson's down.
And the Jet medical staff quickly runs out on the field.
His hand is going toward his left leg, so they'll listen to him, then they'll examine whatever area they think is wrong with him. Sometimes when you go down, you're hurting all the time while you're playing football. You can go down and not really know specifically what hurts. All you know is that you can't stay on your feet, and there's something wrong with you. It's Pepper chasing the play. You just get in piles. With your own guy diving on you, another guy diving on you.
Johnson in his 12th year in the league. Still doing some good things for Bill Parcells. Parcells, the best thing he can say about him is whatever he's got, will get. As Pepper Johnson, as the old cliche goes, always leaves everything out on the field. But he is certainly shaken up on this play.
Pepper comes into this picture from the left side of your screen, right there in the middle, on the bottom of the pile. Nothing apparent happens to him. His backup in this situation is Dwayne Gordon, and he's a solid backup. Early on in the season, he and Pepper were splitting a little bit of time. I think Pepper went into Bill's office and said, Bill, I think I can handle this by myself. And you haven't seen Gordon on the field as much, but Gordon has been out there and he's had some snaps. If there's one guy that Bill would want to go out onto the field with and see how he is, it would be Pepper Johnson. And it's probably taken all of Bill's reserve to hold himself back right now.
Wayne Gordon starts to walk out on the field. The respect those two have is something special, and the respect the players have. Johnson voted the defensive captain. You can see all the Jets standing around. One of their leaders down. There's Pepper Johnson's won a couple of World Championships, 2 Super Bowl rings with the Giants, 2 Pro Bowls with the Giants when he was with Parcells. And, of course, a very emotional part of this team.
Yeah, and you know, Keith Byers, he was the best man at Keith Byers' wedding. So, I mean, these guys are, you know, it crosses lines. You know, sometimes it's a guy on the other team, but you can see Byers, the look on his face, he went out there to check on him. He wasn't on the field, but he went to check on one of his best friends.
Yeah, it's not a good sign as Johnson walking out cannot put any weight whatsoever on that leg right now. And he's playing a very strong game early on, already with 5 tackles. 3rd and 9. Flags. Bledsoe complete to Glenn, and Aaron Glenn slows him down just enough for Victor Green to finish it up.
Yeah, but the Patriots will get another shot at this Chad Cascadden just a little bit early, getting off the mark.
So Tom White will speak with his colleagues.
Offsides, number 53, defense. That's a 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's the 2nd penalty on the Jets, Cascadden. Of course, penalties have been a big story for the Patriots. They've been getting destroyed on penalties early in the season. Not necessarily in the record. It hurt them in the Bronco game. But last week against Buffalo, only 1 penalty. As you see, Pepper Johnson is going to be taken back to the locker room.
Yeah, they had 3 flags thrown against them. 2 were declined, and they said, well, we don't care about the ones that were declined. Goes down in the record book as only 1 penalty.
3rd and 4. Bledsoe, incomplete. Ray Mickens broke it up.
Yeah, Mickens broke it up, but Mo Lewis forced the quick throw. He comes in untouched, and you know, you need a huddle amongst your offensive linemen, because if they're going to delay blitz you have to close those gaps down. You can't just move to the next guy. Everyone's blocking, but there comes Mo Lewis just fast enough for Drew Bledsoe to realize, I don't have time to wait for somebody to get open. I need to get rid of the football.
And feel bad for Pepper Johnson as he's going back. You can see the look on his face. Patriots will go for it on 4th and 4. Flags on the play. Bledsoe under pressure, and he's going to be taken down. They're trying to blow the whistle to stop it.
Yeah, but down here at the bottom, Aaron Glenn did something real foolish. There's a little jab move that you can do at the wide receivers. He did that jab move and actually came across the line of scrimmage and touched the wide receiver. So the play stopped right there. You know, that confusion at the end should have never occurred. You got to blow the whistles louder than that. But Aaron Glenn just, you know, a little premature in his movement there. There he is right there.
Having encroachment, number 31, defense. That's a 5-yard penalty, 1st down. There's no foul on the hit on the quarterback because the whistle could not be heard. 1st down.
It is loud here. The whistle's difficult to hear as Glenn with a costly penalty because that moves the chains. They're down at the 35.
You know what? If he can amplify his voice, why can't he turn that on when he's blowing the whistle to protect the $42 million man back there?
1st and 10 for New England. Curtis Martin. It's maybe 4. Gang tackled. Dwayne Gordon and Jason Ferguson in on the stop.
You know, Curtis Martin, not a guy who's going to beg for the football, but he has to be thinking in his mind, you know, granted we pass the ball well, we throw it around the field. Feed me the ball. Let me get going here. 11 carries already in the 1st half. Here's a guy who carried the ball 40 times in the 1st meeting. He wants to get his runs in so he can control this ball game.
Martin on 2nd and 5, very close to a 1st down.
And just a little bit of a bend back. We talked to Ben Coates, and he said this guy just has such great vision, you know, running the football. Bruce Armstrong commented, you know, we don't draft this guy high, but in training camp, his rookie year, you know, you watch him break off a couple of runs. The thing that really caught Bruce's attention is this guy went to Bill Parcells and said, how do I become a better blocker? He said, I know I can do it running. And he said as soon as he heard him ask that question, he knew this guy was going to be a quality running back.
3rd and 1. Grisby in motion, Bledsoe himself. And from the naked eye, it looks like he got it. All depends on the spot, of course.
Well, see, that's an easy call because 3rd and 1, that's 2 yards. That's 1 yard. Drew Bledsoe is 2 yards long plus 6 inches. All he has to do is fall halfway forward and he gets you the yard. It's that extra 6 inches that he has, because 2 yards is 6 feet, but he's 6'6", so he has this by 6 inches. He has it by that much of the ball, just 6 inches, because he's tall enough. And coaches have to know how tall their players are. That's critical. If a guy could find a 7'2" quarterback, he'd go for him just so he could get this play right here.
Well, they're going to measure it, but
6 inches.
no problem for the big fella. We just get the word Pepper Johnson has a twisted knee and will not return.
I haven't heard that one in a while. Normally it's strained ligaments, very specific. Twisted knee. That's because he's an old-time player. Just twisted my knee. You know, don't make it complicated. Just twist it. Hopefully it's not something that is going to prolong him being out during the season.
Patriots another first down. Bledsoe has plenty of time. Complete to Glenn. And Glenn gets down to about the 18. Aaron Glenn again makes the tackle.
He had the time, but the Jets are doing a good job down the field. That's the one thing that Drew said about the first game. He said, granted, I may have been a little too hyped up and not have been on my game, but they did a good job covering the guys, and they're doing a good job keeping them away downfield. If I'm the Patriots, I try and get a play in before the 2-minute warning here, but they're going up to the offensive line of scrimmage very casually.
12-yard pickup on that last play, so they'll take over. 1st and 10 at the 13. Bledsoe knocking on the door. John Hall, 35-yard field goal. Henry Thomas, safety. And that's your score of the 2-minute warning in the second quarter. But right now the Patriots 1st and 10 at the Jet 13. Bill Parcells has to be happy with his defense thus far. With Bledsoe and the Pats threatening. Curtis Martin. Martin down to about the 8. Marvin Jones on the tackle. Coming up at halftime, it's the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime report. Greg, Chris Collinsworth, Joe Gibbs, Sam Weish bring you all the scores and highlights. Plus, Chris sits down with former Raiders and present Bronco head coach Mike Shanahan about the bit of rivalry between those two teams, all coming up at halftime.
That's the job I want. Sit around, talk about football, and eat pizza.
2nd and 5. Martin hit and taken down. Jason Ferguson with a nice tackle.
Yeah, you know, you would think that they might be trying to throw the ball in the end zone. They're going to try and run it in with their first 2 shots, which is what they've done. Now they say, okay, the minimum that we're going to get out of this is 3 points. We're not going to get down here, get crazy. Because that red zone, it gets so tight down there, you don't have a lot of pass plays. If you try and pass all 3 downs, you end up running the same play twice sometimes.
3rd and 3. Bledsoe doesn't have anyone and throws it away. Excellent coverage, and Mo Lewis put on some pressure. Vinatieri will come on the field and try to extend the consecutive streak that he has right now.
I talked about Sean Jefferson not being physical, and he's the guy who cannot get off the ball at the line of scrimmage. Actually, he's in here, and they switch. When he can't get off the ball at the line of scrimmage, it just screws everything up. Because Glenn wants to come out and get in that route. They do a great job switching.
Adam Vinatieri, 12 for 12 on the year, 20 consecutive, longest current streak in the NFL. This is a 24-yarder. And the second-year man out of South Dakota State remains perfect in the 97 season and gives the Patriots the lead. The Jets still have all 3 timeouts remaining here in the final minute of the first. Their first lead, 5-3, here near the end of the second quarter. Last night, World Series Game 1 was all tied up until Moises Alou stepped to the plate.
The 0-2 pitch, hit deep to left. If it's fair, it's a 3-run homer. It's out of here.
Game 2, the Indians and the Marlins tonight, immediately following the NFL on NBC. Exciting game last night.
When you were a kid, did you ever play baseball like in the street on your block and you hit the ball and it goes in somebody's backyard?
All the time.
That's when you really get a home run.
There were some good neighbors and there were some not so good
neighbors. Some wouldn't give you the ball back.
Some were very nasty. Vinatieri, very short kick. Glenn at the 8. Aaron Glenn thrown down. Lovett Purnell. with the tackle, and the Jets will take over 12-yard return. Jets have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. O'Donnell with 39 seconds to work with.
See, now there are 2 ways to do this kickoff thing. One, you can kick it like Hall into the end zone, or you can do it like Vinatieri and hang that ball up where it just like stops in the air, and you get a great job of the guys covering. Because here's Glenn, he's waiting. And that ball just doesn't get down there, and the Patriot guys have enough time to get down there and run up under it. And they're, of course, they're going to try and pull the ball out here. He's not going to give it up.
O'Donnell with a shotgun, 4 wide receivers. Quickly goes Dedrick Ward. Makes the catch up to the 29 and gets out of bounds. Only 3 seconds tick off the clock.
Take your shots up the field. First down is actually the down to do it. You have these guys thinking, they're not going to try anything deep, and that's when you go deep on.
5-yard pickup. O'Donnell dumps it off Leon Johnson. Johnson up to the 36, and the Jets will have to use
now.
And they do right away. Only 8 seconds go off the clock. 11-yard pickup for Johnson.
30-second timeout. First down.
There's the time remaining in the second quarter. Of course, after this one, more terrific NFL action for you right here on NBC. Coming up next on most of these NBC stations, game 2 of our doubleheader. Miami and Baltimore. And, of course, Denver and Oakland. The Raiders need a win. Check your local listings for the game in your area.
Everybody talks about the intensity of that Denver-Oakland matchup. I played in a couple of those while I was with the Raiders, but it was Denver-LA then. The Broncos and the Raiders, you hear it over and over, the cliche, they do not like each other. Trust me, they don't exchange gifts at holiday season.
How about hate? Is hate too strong?
I don't want it. My wife told me I can't say that on the air.
Sorry, Mrs. Lofton. 1st and 10. O'Donnell under some pressure. Nobody's open. Now looks downfield for Corbett. Corbett tries to haul it in, but he was out of bounds. Willie Clay was right there with him.
As soon as you said nobody's open, I knew he was going to throw it to Wayne Corbett. Because if nobody's open, that's the guy who, if I'm Neil O'Donnell, that I have the most confidence in. And Wayne Corbett, granted, was not open, but at 5 feet, and Wayne, I'll give you this, 10 inches tall with little elevator shoes on, he went up and got the ball. There are a lot of guys who, they don't jump for the ball well. They don't time it well. The kid seems to do everything properly. Granted, the field should be a little bit bigger for him on that play, but other than that, can't fault him.
It was actually Chris Canty on the coverage. Clay came over after the play and whistles. "18 seconds remaining."
Play game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
And Bill Parcells. He feels O'Donnell again with the weapons. They can move it downfield.
An offensive penalty that they burn time off the clock. So just at the end of the ball game?
Well, they put it back up to 20 now. O'Donnell under pressure, gets away, fires downfield, incomplete. Dedrick Ward was in the area. Larry Wiggum right there. Dave Meggett's running out on the field, clapping, congratulating the Patriots secondary. Meggett, a Parcells favorite. In fact, Parcells said, he goes, I know I'm not objective about this guy, but he thinks there's some Hall of Fame consideration as a returner.
Yeah, and also when he had to redo his contract, Dave Meggett, there was some thought, do I stay here or do I go with Bill, back to the Meadowlands and then play there again?
3rd and 15. Corbett, that's his first catch. He's trying for the sidelines and gets out of bounds at about the 49 with 7 seconds remaining. 19-yard pickup.
Prevent defense. Look it up in the dictionary. It will prevent you from winning ball games. The Patriots in the last ball game, they got soft at the end of the game. Keyshawn Johnson scores a touchdown against them. That time you're thinking 3rd and 15, don't give up a 15-yard pass. But if you give up a 10-yard pass, Come on, somebody has to come up and make the tackle.
All right, you have enough time now to try and gain a little extra yards for John Hall's leg, or do you go the Hail Mary route?
Well, you also have time to throw the ball, call timeout. I throw a slant to Keyshawn Johnson.
Hall's got
him earn his paycheck today.
Hall's got the strong leg. O'Donnell looks, fires. Incomplete. There's still 3 seconds remaining.
See, throwing that deep out burned more time than throwing a hook over the middle would have. You let John Hall attempt the field goal here.
Don't forget, he's also the punter. The fans are cheering, thinking they're going to go for it, but Glenn Foley's coming out.
So Foley's coming out. So what we're getting here, Foley backed it up a couple inches. We're talking NFL record here if he hits this thing.
68-yarder. He hit a 60-yarder in college. That's a school record at Wisconsin. He's already hit a 55-yarder in the NFL as the Patriots call timeout.
Timeout. New England. The 30-second timeout.
I was here last week, and I had my son, who is 13 years old, on the field, and I was trying to explain to him about kicking field goals because the guys were out there warming up. And we went back to the yard line where Dempsey kicked his from. Well, when Dempsey kicked it, the field goal posts were at the beginning of the end zone, so he kicked it from the 37-yard line. And I said, this is where you'd have to kick it from. He just stood there, and his jaw dropped. And obviously the reason that people don't get to attempt this is because if you miss, that's where the opposing team takes over. So at the end of a half, at the end of the ball game, are the only 2 chances you can get. If I'm the New England Patriots here, I don't even rush this thing because I'd want to see a record. And I want to say I was there when he kicked the 68-yarder.
5 yards longer than the NFL record. And Hall goes wide left. Even John Hall, I don't think, is ready for that one.
No, that kick is good from 63 yards. That landed even with the goalpost.
So a defensive battle here in the first half for Bill Parcells and the Jets. Patriots leading 5-3. We'll be sending you to our NFL on NBC studios in New York. But first, these words from your local station.
Bell Sunday Ticket. This is the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. For hot and wow, call Domino's. Now,
we welcome you back to our studios. Greg Gumbel along with Chris Collinsworth, Sam Weiss, Joe Gibbs. It's amazing. I get those right every single time. Let's run down scores and highlights for you. Begin with the game taking place in Irving, Texas. The Dallas Cowboys at halftime with a 13-7 lead on Jacksonville. And that man, Barry Switzer, trying not to lose 3 straight games for the first time in his coaching career. Scoreless game, 3rd and 4 from the 19 of the Jaguars. Emmitt Smith thrown for a loss. Dallas, the NFL's second worst touchdown percentage inside the red zone, settled for a field goal and a 3-0 lead. Mark Brunell caps a 79-yard drive with a 7-yard touchdown pass to the former Cowboy Jimmy Smith. 7-3 Jacksonville. Second quarter now. Troy Aikman looks for and finds Michael Irvin 27 yards to get him to the Jacksonville 1. And on the very next play, 22, Emmitt Smith up and over the top for his first rushing touchdown of the season. Smith had gone 216 touches without a touchdown. Dallas led 10-7 at that point. They added a field goal to go up now 13-7 at halftime. And Sam, are the Cowboys looking any better today?
Well, they may be looking a little bit better, but they're missing Mark Tuinei. George Hageman is having a heck of a time against Tony Brackens and company. And Troy Aikman is getting hit a lot. If they don't stop that, they're going to be in real trouble if they lose him. Again, the red zone's a problem, though. They've been there 3 times. They've only scored once, and that one occurred from the 2-inch line.
You know, it's really hard to take if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan is to watch the transformation of this football team from a powerful team on both sides of the football to really a finesse team. They can't run the ball at all. Emmitt about 2 yards per carry there in the first half. But it's really evident down around the goal line. 1st and goal from the 5, a first down run, gets nothing. 2 straight passes. You never saw that from the Cowboys in the past.
All right, Chris, the game that you folks are watching from the Meadowlands, the New York Jets trailing the New England Patriots by a score of 5-3. Long relief, definitely a problem for both teams in this baseball game. Bill Parcells and the Jets seeking to avenge their Week 3 loss at New England. Defense dominated the first half. Drew Bledsoe picked off by former Patriot Jerome Henderson, who returns 45 yards to the New England 30, but the Jets were unable to convert. John Hall missed a 35-yard field goal attempt. 3-0 Jets, second quarter. Bledsoe sacked twice in the second quarter. Mo Lewis gets the credit for this one. A Tom Tupa punt pinned the Jets at their 1. Neil O'Donnell called for intentional grounding in the end zone for Patriot safety. It was 3-2 Jets at that point. A Vinatieri field goal has the Patriots on top by a score of 5-3. Joe.
Well, you know, Bill Parcells had to say, look, guys, just limit the big plays against all the firepower from the Pats and we'll be okay. They've done that. And then they, in turn, though, make enough mistakes themselves to give the lead away. They miss a field goal, a cinched field goal. They turn around and get a safety, and then turn around and have the Pats 4th and 4 on the last drive, and Aaron Glenn, their corner, jumps off sides and gives them a first down.
Let's go to Chris Collinsworth, who picked New England big in this game, and we presume he meant by more than a safety.
Well, I'm looking for that 3-run home run here in the second half. But the one thing that they will have to worry about is Pepper Johnson being out of that middle linebacker position. Apparently hurt his leg there in the first half. And Curtis Martin ran for 199 yards the first time these two teams get together. And for my pick, I hope he sort of gets it going here in the second half.
Licking his chops without Pepper there. All right, let's run down the other games for you. In Atlanta, San Francisco with a 21-14 lead on the Falcons early in the second half. At Tennessee, the Redskins, having failed to get on the board so far against the Oilers, it's 14-0. The Oilers are leading Washington. In St. Louis, the Seattle Seahawks and the St. Louis Rams, a field goal apiece early in the second half. In Philadelphia, Ricky Waters, 24-yard touchdown run. The only points on the board of the day. The Eagles lead the Cardinals 7-0. And in New Orleans, the 2-4 Carolina Panthers lead the 2-5 New Orleans Saints 13-0. This reminder, we were talking baseball earlier. Game 2 of the World Series tonight after our football doubleheader. Chad O'Jay for the Cleveland Indians. Kevin Brown of the Florida Marlins. Pregame is 7 o'clock Eastern time with the first pitch coming your way at 7:35. Patriots and Jets are back on the field at the Meadowlands, so we send you back for the second half and rejoin Mike Breen and James Lofton. We will see you a bit later.
Half as the Patriots leading the Jets 5-3. Hi again, everyone. Along with James Lofton, Mike Breen on hand. Really solid performances from the defense. Maybe more surprising how well the Jet defense has played.
Well, the Jets defense played well against the Patriots in the first ballgame. I think if I'm one of the offensive coordinators in this ballgame, I figure out what can I do to try and win this ballgame. And I think it's simple. You try and run the football. You don't want to make a mistake in the passing game where you've had problems scoring all overall. So you want to just run the football. Make it real clean and simple. You look at the stats. New England has moved the ball. It's the one turnover that really killed them in this ballgame.
The one turnover, a Drew Bledsoe interception. The Jets have not had the football nearly as much offensively as the Patriots. Right now, let's go down to the field. Len Berman.
All right, you're talking about the Jets offense, Mike and James. Bill Parcells told me he's looking for a spark. He's concerned offensively. Last week in the second half against Miami, the first half today, offensively kind of dead. Only one touchdown in those 60 minutes of football. He needs a spark. Defensively, he says things are going pretty well. As for the Patriots side, Pete Carroll's policy is not to talk to us sideline guys during the game. So that's why we have a one-sided halftime report this time. Back to you.
You know, I would think that a laid-back guy like Pete Carroll from the West Coast would want to talk to Len anytime that he could.
Well, he knows Len from back in his days in New York.
Maybe that's why he won't talk to him.
And, of course, one of the highlights of the first half, even though it was far from being good, John Hall attempting a 68-yarder. There was a real anticipation, a real feeling in the stadium when he lined up to kick a 68-yard field goal because he's got a tremendous leg. Yes, it was short and wide, but if anyone's going to kick one to beat Tom Dempsey, right now, Hall's got the leg.
And I felt myself holding my breath while he was lined up to kick it. Not very often you get to see an NFL record attempted. You don't know when they're going to come about.
Hall already has one touchback today. Make it two. Dave Meggett frustrated. And the Patriots will take over.
Hey, we got another T person running out. Good for him. They get that. I wonder if they get to keep the T, like a commemorative T. If Hall had kicked a 68-yarder,
he's going to give it back.
If Hall had kicked it and made it, I keep the T if I'm that kid. And he's number 19, Keyshawn Johnson.
You were that kind of kid, weren't you?
He's covering it up now. What does that mean?
You were that kind of kid. They tell you can't have the T, but you keep it anyway. Curtis Martin. Martin finds a hole, gets up to about the 24. Marvin Jones and Dwayne Gordon on the tackle.
Yeah, and Dwayne Gordon will have to play this whole second half. You know, I've always wondered about guys who are backups on your team. You know, they run all the wind sprints and do all that. There's still something to being in game condition. And until you play a couple of games and get that, second win type of thing down under your belt, you can be out there huffing and puffing.
Gordon playing for the injured Pepper Johnson. The knee injury, he's done. Gordon, a local guy, was born in White Plains in Westchester County in New York. Bledsoe.
Well, they lost a guy in coverage.
Wide open is Troy Brown. Otis Smith tracking him down, and Brown breaks the tackle. Victor Green, and they finally knocked him out of bounds at the 8-yard line.
Well, he's got a nice stiff arm. He used it about 3 times on that play.
A disgusted Bill Parcells as Otis Smith unable to stop Troy Brown. 66-yard gain.
Now you saw Otis Smith come out of the pile late. Troy Brown goes in motion, and what happens? Otis Smith gets bumped off by Marvin Jones, his own guy. Number 55 bumps into him, and when that happens, Troy Brown is wide open. Drew Bledsoe's not looking in that direction immediately. He gets the ball to him late, and it's a nice stiff arm action by him. This is why guys bench press, just so they can stiff arm.
First and goal at the 8. Bledsoe lobs it toward Martin and throws it away. Martin looking the other way.
No, he was lobbing it toward that guy who's holding the balls there. The ball guy. He said, okay, you change the balls after every play. A good job by... See, he's talking about it. He said, you know, I almost had that one. If I hadn't had this one ball in my hand, I'd have been able to reach out and grab it with the other hand.
Rick Lyle with the pressure. Bledsoe with the acrobatics. By the way, that gentleman on the sidelines, that was almost his 5th reception of the season. Second and goal. It's also his 3rd drop of the year. Play fake. Bledsoe lobs. Coates is wide open. Touchdown, Patriots. Van Coates, his 4th touchdown reception of the season.
And Victor Green is getting all in James Ferrier's ear because that's Ferrier's guy. The coach does a great job blocking down. We saw him on the first play of the game where he tossed Mo Lewis out of his way on a run play fake. It's right there, and you know he just doesn't stay with him at all. He doesn't even give him a good run fake. He just stands there. Ferrier wants to chase the play as Bledsoe goes away. You got a man like Ben Coates, you got to stay with him.
Vinatieri also perfect on extra points. Remains that way. And the Patriots quickly march down the field. Pete Carroll's team now leading 12-3. Troy Brown, that 66-yard reception, the key to that touchdown drive.
We'll remind you that life is a journey. Enjoy the ride. By PlayStation, a bit of advice for gamers everywhere. Never underestimate the power of PlayStation. By the Principal Financial Group. For over a century, your edge in retirement, insurance, and investment products. And by Staples, the office superstore.
It took the Patriots less than a minute and a half to score the touchdown. Ben Coates, 8-yard reception for the score. Aaron Glenn at the 9. And Glenn gets up to about the 26. A 17-yard return for Aaron Glenn.
You know, if you are a guy, and this is your guy out here, Ben Coates, all-pro, all-world tight end, and you're a rookie, cover that guy. Start to go this way, you get to smelling the play, and all of a sudden you stink the joint up. That's what happened to Mr. Ferrier on that one.
And for Coates, and there you see Glenn Foley. Glenn Foley coming in the game. So Neil O'Donnell ineffective so far. Agent Rowe lacked immediately. Mike Jones makes the tackle. And Parcells talked to us about how impressed he is with Foley. O'Donnell did not have a good first half, and Foley's going to get his first real chance of playing time here in 97.
But if I'm Pete Carroll, what I do is what I did on that first play. I attack, and I pressure this guy. I pressure the run game. I pressure the pass game. Because Foley wants to come in, and he wants to get in that rhythm. You know, when you're a backup quarterback, you get in that rhythm at practice. You're just throwing, you're relaxed, you're sweating, you're under the sun. Don't let him get in rhythm during the football game.
Play fake on 2nd and 12, goes downfield, incomplete, intended for Baxter. Lawyer Malloy with some terrific coverage. We talk about one of the more underrated defensive backs in the league. Number 36 fits that bill.
Now, if that's Ben Coates going up the seam for that ball, and Victor Green is the strong safety, you switch teams. Because he's an all-pro, I think he gets that call. Get that hand in there just ever so early, he gets that call. You don't get it, when you're just Fred Baxter, anonymous tight end.
Malloy having a terrific season. 3rd and 12. Glenn Foley is 4th year out of Boston College. He's only started 3 games in his career. Now in relief of O'Donnell. Complete to first down up to the 44-yard line. Malloy makes the tackle, but a 19-yard pickup from Foley to Corbett.
And every team says that we're going to try and do this to Wayne Corbett. We're going to try and do that to him. That time, Teddy Bruschi, who's normally a pass rush guy, is back underneath. He's the robber. He's the guy who's watching for Corbett to come across the middle. He's there. He dives just short of making the play. In my mind, I put my best defensive back on Wayne Corbett. I put Ty Law on that guy, and I stick the law on it.
This time, Richie Anderson with his first catch of the day. Anderson gets up near midfield. And he's taken down by Chris Slade and Ted Johnson. Corbett 2 catches today.
You know, at some point during his career, he's going to have to be voted to the Pro Bowl. And he catches a lot of passes. He does the dirty work. It's easy to catch the ball on 1st and 10. You play action fake to the halfback. You run a 12-yard square out. You catch it, and the only person you bump into is either somebody with a camera or somebody with pom-poms. Everything that this guy catches is between those numbers on the football field, and that's where all the collisions take place.
All just shy of midfield, 2nd and 4. Foley leading the way. And Ward knocked out of bounds at the 28-yard line. 21-yard gain.
You know, when you run a reverse, and the Jets do everything right out in front, because what you don't want the guys who are leading the reverse to do, you don't want them to hesitate. Because that guy with the reverse is running it because he has some speed. This time, Foley's out in front, Duffy's out in front, and there's Foley throwing a block on the AstroTurf. That turf is not going to tackle Ward. He's making sure that he doesn't slip on the turf because he's going to be there for him to let him step on his back.
Well, he did make Willie Clay back up a bit. Foley looks and overthrows Richie Anderson. Good coverage from Chris Slade on the play.
And we talked about Parcells kind of, saying, okay, this guy Slade, he's a good pass rusher, but he's not an all-around linebacker. So in the game plan, we say, okay, we can sneak our fullback out. We can get Chris Slade in coverage. Chris Slade, that benching might have been the best thing to happen in his career. Humiliating, humbling him, but it made him a better player. He covers the pass better now than he did a year ago.
He's playing very well for Pete Carroll. Foley, a quick drop. Fires. Fumbles it. Let's see if they call it a catch. They should, yes. At the 11-yard line, Lawyer Malloy with a hard hit.
You got Ty Law, you got Lawyer Malloy. He brought every legal brief with him on that hit right there. Because Kyle Brady is a big guy. You see him in the weight room, you see him walking around. He's big. If you can separate the ball from the biggest receiver that the team has, you're bringing it. Lawyer Malloy brings it. And in football vernacular, if a guy can bring it, I don't care if he weighs 180 pounds or 320 pounds, he can bring it. He becomes a player in this league.
They bring it back just past the 10, in spite of the fumble. Foley goes to the end zone for Johnson and overthrows him. Jimmy Hitchcock right with him. Keyshawn Johnson still looking for his first reception.
See, in my mind, you don't overthrow Keyshawn Johnson on that play. There's some bumping and nudging and all that. But Keyshawn Johnson is 6 feet. Sometimes he looks like he's about 6'6". You throw this ball up, you make both guys stop right there. They don't continue to run. You make it a jump ball. And at the combine, what did he, 40-inch vertical, you do all that kind of stuff. Then you get on the football field, you don't take all those skills into account. He's not going to outrun somebody to the corner of the end zone.
There's some contact there as well. Foley, double punch. Incomplete. Baxter almost had a touchdown. There's the flag. Baxter arguing his case. Willie Clay on the coverage. And this will go against the Patriots.
And I see the officials signaling holding. To me, it looked like the contact was made when the football was in the air. And I've reviewed my rules, and that's pass interference. But if they're calling holding off the line, it'll be a 5-yard penalty.
Pass interference.
More like
number 32 in the end zone. It's a first down on the 1-yard line.
Now Pete Carroll's going, well, I saw the holding. I saw him signal holding and knew it was pass interference. They run Keyshawn Johnson and Baxter both to the corner. There's Clay in there just a second early to get in there in that play.
Lorenzo Neal in at the fullback. They go straight up. No signal. Leon Johnson just shy of the goal line. Second and goal. We're about at the inch line right now.
There's a pass interference again. It's the right arm around the hip that gets the call. Every time that will happen.
Leon Johnson again. Touchdown. The rookie's second career touchdown. Fourth round pick out of North Carolina. Makes it 12-9 with the extra point coming up. And an injured Patriot on the play. Ty Law. Concerned Pete Carroll for Law, his third-year cornerback out of Michigan.
And it'd be hard to put a finger on who the best guy is in that secondary. You have Willie Clay, Big Play Clay, Lawyer Malloy, but Ty Law really solidifies that secondary. You can put him out there on the corner, and he can virtually take away the best receiver that you have.
So Law apparently okay. Bill Parcells, one of the comments he said about, well, let's take a look at how Law got.
The thing about it is, they score a touchdown. He's in there trying to knock the ball out, make the play. A lot of weight coming down on top of him. It's amazing when the other team gets in the end zone, you don't feel as good. He looked up, he saw the official with the arms up, and, all the energy just gets sucked out of him. He'll be all right the next time they have to play defense.
John Hall on for the extra point. He's not missed one of those in his rookie season. And it's 12-10. Glenn Foley in his first series this season leads his team on a 74-yard touchdown drive. No touchdown scored in the first half, but in the first 5.5 minutes of the third, each team with a score, and Glenn Foley comes on and leads the Jets right down the field.
And he just called home and he said, "Ma, turn the TV on, I'm playing."
Foley from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Fans up in New England know him from his days as the Boston College Eagle. Meggett at the 9-yard line. And Meggett stopped at about the 24. 16-yard return. Foley and the Jets right back in this early in the third.
The always colorful Deion Sanders revealed the Cowboys' state of mind.
We're not panicking. I think everyone wants us to panic. The panic button, I check it in the locker room every day. It hasn't been pushed. The glass is still around it, and it hasn't been broken.
Don't miss the NFL on NBC next Sunday at noon Eastern.
The MetLife Blimp now celebrating its 10th year of aerial coverage of sporting events and television specials throughout the U.S. Snoopy 1 and Snoopy 2, traveling over 600,000 miles since the program began. Thank you, gentlemen. 1st and 10 for the Patriots. At the 25, Bledsoe complete. Troy Brown again. And Brown gets up to the 45. Finally taken down. Now he's thrown out of bounds. Boy, Brown won't give up. And Ben Coates has words from Marvin Jones in a shove. 22-yard gain.
And the thing about that play, the play that they had run previously, that time they run a similar play, but a little different appearance on it. And Gordon can't decide if it's man. That's not my man because he's not a big guy. There's got to be somebody else chasing that. That's a little guy. My job is to cover the big guys my size or bigger. That guy's too small, too fast for me to run after.
Brown did a nice job with Glenn out with the injury. Got a couple of very important receptions here this afternoon. Byers in motion. Curtis Martin. And Martin taken down, but not before getting into Jet territory at the 47. Marvin Jones makes the tackle. Aaron Glenn missed him.
when you go to Indianapolis and they have that college combine, they get all the players together and they run them in a 40. They have them jump as high as they can. They weigh you underwater for body fat. They make you lift weights and run around cones. But they can never tell if a running back has that shape. Curtis Martin has the shape. Aaron Glenn is a very good tackler. He was pounding the turf after Martin ran by him.
He's got a good shape. 2nd and 4. Another shape. This time Glenn latches on. Penalty marker thrown.
Now somebody had the hand up around the face mask. Invariably, a running back will stiff arm along the shoulder pad area, and sometimes that hand will creep up. Glenn looked like he was trying to get that hand in there. We mentioned about his right thumb being injured in practice, but he's holding on to something's hurting. Right there, he wants to get back out in the field. They're going to keep him off the
Personal
field.
foul, face mask, number 31. That's a 15-yard penalty, first down.
The funny thing is when you get your hand up around a guy's face mask and his body starts to twist, you can actually hurt yourself. Get your hand right there. You can't get it off, and your hand gets twisted. And then Mo Lewis comes and hits you while you got a grab of that guy's face mask, and it hurts you.
So to add insult and yardage to injury, they give him the 15-yarder.
And Parcells is upset because he's thinking that's the 5-yard, where he just put it up there and he took it off.
He is in a lot of pain.
There may not be anything really hurt, but he's in pain, and it's that thumb that he jammed up in practice on Friday. And he's a tough guy. He'll shake that off. Mickens will come in for him. Another little tough guy they have.
Ball all the way down now to the Jet 26. Bledsoe, Farrier gets a hand on him. Bledsoe gets away. And Bledsoe dives. Oh, that's a dangerous dive. Marvin Jones. That's the kind the coaching staff holding its breath.
It almost looked like Drew Bledsoe was losing his balance before he, decided to dive forward. Because quarterbacks are trained to run about 8 yards. And he's running. He tucks the ball in the left arm. He does everything right. And then look at him. He starts his lean real early, and then he just dives. You can't say that this is just another football game. When you play, you go for that extra yards like that. That shows the rest of your team what it's all about.
8-yard pickup. Martin cut back and taken down at the 9-yard line.
And
Dwayne Gordon.
Flags galore.
Tom White's getting very busy. And this one against the Patriots.
When everything about your run says we're running to the right, and you're a big offensive lineman, you get the pressure on that big defensive guy.
Number 71 offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
Yeah. Todd Rucci, he's just trying to ride his guy to the right. And then all of a sudden, your guy decides to cut back. He's right there at right guard. He's pushing. He's doing the push because we're running this way. We're running that way. And your guy, he's going to break and run back the other way. Well, I got him grabbed going the other way. Tell Curtis, I got my guy grabbed and walled off. And when you break and go the other way, you make me look bad.
2nd and 12. Brown in motion. Handoff, war flag. Martin brought down immediately by Dwayne Gordon. But again, penalty markers. This one against the Jets, offsides.
Offsides, number 99, defense. It's a 5-yard penalty, second down.
Hugh Douglas on the penalty. So it'll be 2nd and 7.
Yeah, and he's wanting to make a play because right there he's in that 4-man line set where it's his chance to get a sack. Hugh Douglas only has 1 sack this year after recording 10 and 9 in the previous. He wanted to get Drew Bledsoe.
2nd and 7, Brisby and Brown, the wide receivers. Bledsoe looks downfield, complete to Brown. Brown's gonna go! Touchdown Patriots! What a game Troy Brown is having. What a third quarter.
Yeah, and the Jet guys are going, okay, I know who Sean Jefferson is. I read the program about him. I know that Terry Glenn is their star receiver. Who's number 80? And what has happened is Glenn came into this ballgame with an ankle injury. The field is just slick enough where I think he's tweaking that, so Brown is coming in and making the most of his day.
Vinatieri makes it 19-10. Troy Brown, 3 catches, 111 yards, and a score.
The NFL on NBC.
Linebacker coach Al Grove, including his skates to his defense. He's given up 2 touchdowns here in the third quarter. Patriots lead it 19-10. A little over 5.5 remaining in the third. Vinatieri to kick off. Very short kick. Leon Johnson at the 19 with a head start. Johnson has the hold and gets across to the 41-yard line. A 22-yard return. Let's go to Lynn Berman.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. I'm with Patriots owner Bob Kraft. You feeling a little bit better now?
Oh, much better now that they just went in there to the other end zone. You know, we remember being here a year ago and being down 21-0 at halftime. So it's a little better feeling right now, Len.
After all that went down last year with the coaching brouhaha with Parcells and Carroll, what was the reaction to you from Jet fans as you walked in here today?
Well, I don't think they noticed me till some were kind enough to show me one of their fingers, a bunch of them over in that behind the Patriots bench. I thought I would have gotten.
Dropped it.
See that, Len? It was good karma that you're in here.
I see.
Wow, that would have. But they, I would think they would have given us a standing O for letting Bill come here. You know, we had the ability to keep him out of the game, and we're all partners in this. We got fair compensation, and I think this is one of the best things that's happened to the AFC and the league to have Bill in here.
Now, if your team had gotten off to a slow start, Patriot fans would have come after you.
Life is taking risks. I believe in our team. We have a great group. I think we have the best young team in the NFL, and we have a great coaching staff, and they have my ultimate support. And no matter what happens in the short term, we're in this for the long term.
Adrian Morrell close to the first down for the Jets. When are you going to get that new stadium already for the Patriots?
Right now, there's a bill before the Mass Legislature to give us infrastructure. And if that happens, we're hoping that we can solve our problems there. If we don't get it in the next few weeks, then we got to go back to the drawing board.
All right, Bob Kraft, thanks a lot. Good luck to you.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Mike?
Thank you, Len. 3rd and 1. Leon Johnson has the first down. After about the 46, let me ask you on that Jeff Graham. That's a difficult catch. Foley threw a little off.
That's a difficult catch.
Should he have that one?
It's the second week in a row that they've missed that play. Last week, Neil O'Donnell overthrew him. That time, Foley had to move around in the pocket, showed good pocket movement, threw it out there, and Jeff Graham will be the first one to tell you that he should have made that catch. But the great thing about Jeff Graham is the next time that you're throwing the ball and he gets his hands on it, he'll come up with it.
Graham in motion. Foley will throw again. Dumps it off to Richie Anderson at the 41. Chris Slade on the tackle. Right now, back to the New York studios across the river. Greg Gumbel with another update. Greg?
All right, Mike, in Dallas, Mark Brunell and the Jaguars don't quit. 5-yard touchdown pass to Keenan McCardle, and with the extra point, the Jaguars pulled it within 5. 19-14 Cowboys in the third. Michael.
Thank you, Greg. Good one there. Good one here. Jets on the move right now. Foley looks across the middle. And is taken down at the 23. Willie Clay makes the tackle. 17-yard pickup.
And a great throw by Glenn Foley, who was pressured by Mark Wheeler. You know, Jeff Graham would have liked to have gotten this ball on the line because he had room to run. Foley had to get this ball off early, and it comes in there about as soft as the ball can. Clay gets to come up and make the tackle. But Foley does a great job in anticipating where the hole is going to be and getting the ball. You know, you asked me, there's going to be some headlines in the paper Monday morning about who should be a quarterback.
Only 5 of 9. Complete Keyshawn Johnson at the 10. That's his first reception. 13-yard pickup. And if you're just joining us, Neil O'Donnell's not hurt. He was ineffective in the first half when the score was 3-2.
Yeah, and if you're looking at these two quarterbacks and you compare and contrast, Foley gives you a little more pocket mobility, and he also has a cannon for an arm. Neil O'Donnell doesn't have a bad arm, but Glenn Foley has a cannon for an arm.
Actually, the score was 5-3 at halftime, but no touchdowns, not here in the third quarter. Johnson catches it at the 6.
Yeah, but that's the one thing that I would love to work with Keyshawn Johnson. He has to catch that ball in his body. When you do that, that takes a split second away from when you can run. If he can reach out, get this ball in his hands, get it in your hands, not your body, Keyshawn, you can get upfield faster. And you'll get those yards after the catch. You don't have to take my advice. Let's get Jerry Rice on the phone.
2nd and goal, just beyond the 5-yard line. Morrell, touchdown. A pumped Bill Parcells. And boy, is Glenn Foley having himself quite a third quarter.
Yeah, and he gets to stay on the field now, hold for the PATs. You know, normally he'd be tired having to run on off the field to hold for the PATs. But he's playing. Now he gets a walk-off with all the guys. He gets to pat the lineman on the butt, tell them what a good job they've been doing. He's part of the action.
John Hall, the extra point. It's 19-17. Glenn Foley and the Jets coming alive offensively. Adrian Morrell with his 4th rushing touchdown of the season.
If it stays fair, home run. We will have a 7th game in the 1975 World Series.
Glenn Foley, 7 of 11, 83 yards. And most importantly, he's led the Jets to 2 touchdowns here in the third quarter. It's 19-17, Jets trail. Chris Canty at the 8-yard line. Breaks 1 tackle and gets mauled at the 24. Drew Bledsoe and his offense, they've come alive here in this third quarter with 2 touchdown drives of their own. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now time in our show for the visual aid part of it, Mr. Lofton.
Now, you would think that Keyshawn Johnson would have learned this the first time he's going to play receiver. You catch the ball out here, you can move faster. Here, you have to secure the catch, and you have to wait for the ability to move. Now, he's such a great athlete that in college he could get away with making the body catches and still beat guys. This is football 102, not 101. This is the advanced level when you get to the pros. And it'll take him from being a good receiver to potentially being a great receiver if he can catch the ball away from his body a little more often.
Sam Gash with an 11-yard pickup on his first time he touches the ball. And a first down. Both coaching staffs have done a nice job adjusting to the problems they had. I'm talking about the offensive side of the ball.
You know, you have to wonder, about chemistry on a ball club. Glenn Foley was not mentioned in Keyshawn's novel during the offseason. At least not prominently that I know of. And sometimes, quarterback got a couple of guys open. I'm going to go to the guy who I go bowling with.
Well, Foley, the thing that Parcells says, he has the ability to rally a team because he says he is in such a hurry to get in the end zone. There's no such thing as a methodical drive with Glenn Foley. And we noted already the arm strength. 2nd and 7. That's your time remaining in the third quarter. A wild third quarter. Bledsoe chased out by Mo Lewis. And Bledsoe has to throw it away. Hugh Douglas chasing him. Crowd want intentional grounding, but Bledsoe out of the pocket.
And Keyshawn's into the game, but great coverage downfield for the New York Jets. And we talked about Curtis Martin earlier. Great runner, one of the 3 or 4 best pure running backs in football. But what distinguishes this guy is his ability to block. And he takes on Mo Lewis there and keeps him away from Drew Bledsoe. And I just love scribbling on that telestrator like that.
So a 3rd and 7. Almost the entire stadium on its feet. Bledsoe dumps it off to Coates. And Coates taken down. Corwin Brown, the former Patriot. And he's shy of the first down. Corwin Brown, who says he's a little bitter about being released by Pete Carroll.
But it's Drew Bledsoe's first thought to get the ball way downfield. And he gets his ball a little bit behind Ben Coates. And when he has to turn, that gives Corwin Brown the chance to come up and stop a bigger opponent.
Parcells Brown, one of the 5 toughest players he's ever coached. Tough play there. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Is presented by the authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the NFL is prohibited.
Neil O'Donnell is an ultimate team guy. There's no question about it. What's going through his head right now as Foley has been impressive here in the third?
I think for Neil, he has to redefine his role in this ball game, and his job is to look for things that he can potentially see that will help Foley do his job better and get the Jets a win.
On 4th down, Tupa to punt. Leon Johnson back at the 10. Not a good punt. And it's taken down. Chris Carter touches it at about the 27. Just a 30-yard punt for Tom Tupa. And of course, after today, or after this game, should say, coming up next on most of these NBC stations, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. Most of you will see Dan Marino and the Dolphins against the Ravens. Others see the undefeated Broncos and the Raiders. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Plenty of good football ahead on this Sunday afternoon. We've got a good quarter ahead. Glenn Foley and the Jets, their offense has come alive. There's Foley's numbers. All in the third quarter, he came in and replaced Neil O'Donnell after halftime, and O'Donnell was ineffective. And there's the whistles and the flags.
You know, one of the things that Glenn Foley was able to do in that first drive is spread the ball around. He got a lot of different guys involved in the offense quickly. He got 5 different receivers involved.
False start. Number 76 offense. Moving prior to the snap. It's a 5-yard penalty. First down.
Jumbo Elliott. And Parcells actually told us the other day, when talking about Foley, said, I'm going to play this guy this year. He's that impressed with him, but he was very careful on what situation he was going to put him in. He didn't want to put him in a situation where it's just team getting crunched. He wanted to put him in a situation where he felt he could succeed.
He's succeeded so far.
1st and 15, Foley, hard throw, up to the 36-yard line. Jeff Graham with another catch, a 17-yard pickup. Ty Law and Ted Johnson on the tackle.
And we talked about catching the ball in your hands. Jeff Graham, even though he catches this ball in his body, as soon as he makes that catch, he's ready to dart straight up the field. Boom, the ball comes in, get upfield, you know the seams. One thing as a veteran ball player, not only do you know the coverage, you know where you're going to be able to run after you catch a pass.
Graham's numbers. Foley again to throw. Complete to Graham again.
Very nice. Very nice.
48-yard line with Lawyer Malloy breathing down his neck. 13-yard pickup.
And Jeff Graham, Bill Parcells said, you know, when I watched this guy at the beginning of training camp, I wasn't sure. You know, I didn't really like the way he ran. He wasn't our fastest guy. But then I noticed something. When the ball was thrown in his direction, it wasn't hitting the ground. It was in his hands, and it stayed in his hands. And he runs the precise routes. He runs them like you draw them up on the board. You say go to 14, he goes to 14. Does everything right.
Dumps it off to Morrell. Adrian Morrell down to the 43-yard line. Foley's now completed 7 straight passes. Willie McGinnis on the tackle.
It's a different tempo from the Jets team. Obviously, you know, the emotion is in it. You have a lethargic first half where neither team can get on track. And all of a sudden they score, boom, we score, boom. And it's back and forth now, and it's almost who's going to have the ball last.
2nd and 4, Graham in motion. Morrell. Foley fires. Keyshawn Jackson at the 25. Knocked out of bounds by Willie Clay.
Now, that play is designed to fool people. They didn't fool the Patriots secondary on that play. The Patriots secondary is still back deep. They want everyone to come up, Keyshawn Johnson to be able to go across the field, and they want some of these guys back here, way back behind Keyshawn Johnson to come up. They don't. But Foley sticks this ball in, and he sticks it into Keyshawn's body. And so Foley, he knows how to throw the ball to different guys. Some guys got to throw it in their torso. some guys you can throw it away from their body and they'll come up with it.
Third catch for Johnson. Foley again. Jeff Graham again at the 14-yard line, tripped up by Ty Law. Graham had a season-high 7 catches last week. He's got 5 so far this afternoon.
And Chris Slade just pointed at the Patriots sideline and he said, I want to rush. I'm not doing any good back in coverage. Send me after the quarterback. They're throwing the football. Send me after the quarterback. And that equation works because you can even disrupt the run to get in there. But sometimes you blitz too much, you can run yourself right out of it, especially down here. We've seen Adrian Morrell pop it right up the middle.
Foley now 9 straight completions. Another first down. Morrell gets down to about the 9-yard line. Call it a 3-yard pickup, 2nd and 7. Jets trailing 19-17. We're about 3.5 minutes into the 4th quarter.
There's a great thing that the Jets did early in this drive. They came out throwing, hitting the wide receivers. If you're not running the ball, you get Adrian Morrell the ball on a screen like you did earlier. Because when you get down this red zone, you want him to be able to function and have a feel of the game.
Play fake. Foley complete. At about the 6-yard line, Kyle Brady. Ted Johnson quickly wraps him up.
And Ted Johnson looked like a little kid who was climbing on his dad's back so he could get a better view of the parade as it was going by. I mean, that's how big Kyle Brady is. You think of all the football players as being big. Ted Johnson's 6'3", 240. He goes on top of the back of Brady, and he looks like the little kid at the parade. And there's Willie McGinnis out in space. You get him away from the ball, you've accomplished your job.
3rd and 2. Lorenzo Neal, Leon Johnson in the backfield for the Jets. They go to Neal. Lorenzo Neal, he's in. Touchdown. That is the first time Lorenzo Neal touched a football this season.
He touched it one other time, but he dropped it. And that's why he hadn't touched it until now.
His first catch of the year. Hasn't even got any rushes this season.
They'd like to go for 2, and there's a little bit of a confusion. And Pete Carroll has to be steaming now. Why don't they start the play clock? They finally started it rolling. But the Jets had about 15 seconds of free play clock there. You see it's down to 13 now, but it didn't go down to 25 until they raced that on the field.
Timeout. New York.
Now the Jets will have to take a timeout. Glenn Foley, 11 straight completions. And he has led the Jets on 3 touchdown drives here in the second half.
You look once again at the touchdown, and it is, you get a guy, Lorenzo Neal, hasn't caught a pass, hasn't rushed the ball. So, if I'm the Patriots, that's not the guy I need to stop. And he comes right off the corner. He's a blocking back. You expect him to come in there and bang on somebody. He doesn't bang on anybody, gets alone out in the flat, easy touchdown.
In his 5th year out of Fresno State with the Saints, his first 4 years, unrestricted free agent. Not a bad receiver. He did catch 31 passes last season with New Orleans. But again, that's his first reception of the season. And it puts the Jets back on top, 23-19. And they will go for the ball coming out now.
And see, there's that little card that tells you when you're ahead by 4 what you're supposed to do. See, they couldn't find it on the Jet sideline the first time. They found it late. And then somebody said, no, that's the wrong card. That's what you do when you're behind by 4.
Hall puts it through. Glenn Foley of the Jets having a terrific second half.
NFL on NBC is brought to you by Plymouth. More fun, more cars. That's Plymouth. By Microsoft. Where do you want to go today? And by Aetna Retirement Services. Built for retirement. Managed for life.
If you're wondering why they went for 1 point there, it's now 24 to 19. They score 7, they have 26 points. They score 3, that gives them 27 points. And I thought I would never use my degree in engineering.
Oh, I know. It's a good thing we had all that time during the commercial break for you to figure out the math.
Pulled out my little rocks and, added it up. Got those flashcards handy.
I'll tell you what, Foley's got to be proud of the offensive line. They gave him plenty of time to throw. And Hall trying to make sure the ball stays on. It's fallen off a couple of times. 24-19. Jets lead now. Still plenty of time. 10.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. And the Patriots offense in gear in the second half. They've scored on 2 of their 3 possessions. Drew Bledsoe has been very sharp in the third quarter. Short kick for Hall. Canty at about the 8-yard line. Tripped and slowed and then knocked down. Lorenzo Neal comes down and makes the special teams tackle after a 14-yard return.
You by Domino's Pizza. Call now to enjoy a hot and delicious Domino's Pizza during the game. For hot and wow, call Domino's now.
I thought Halloween was in a couple of weeks.
Which former Jet is that?
That one is not making a comeback.
First and 10, Patriots at their own 22. Bledsoe to throw. Lewis in the backfield. Catches it out. And Bledsoe throws it away. Douglas also with some excellent pressure. Now let's go down to the field and Len Berman.
All right, Mike, with the Jets defense on the field, from what I'm hearing, Pepper Johnson has a lot more than just a twisted knee. It could even be season-threatening. We'll hear officially after the end of the game. It doesn't look good for the 33-year-old Pepper Johnson. Mike?
All right, Len, and this is when he was carted off in the first half. You could see the expression that he knew something serious was up.
Yeah, and not to make it any worse than what it is, but at 33, you don't have a lot of extra seasons in the bag.
Curtis Martin. And Martin slowed down by Marvin Jones, and then tackled Jerome Henderson.
If Marvin Jones doesn't make that stop, that play had big run written all over it. Curtis Martin is going through there. Marvin Jones gets just enough on him to spin his body. I mean, Curtis Martin is not a big back, but he's still a workhorse back. And it's amazing you get a guy who's 5'11", 200 pounds, who can run the ball 25, 30, 35 times a ball game. And if they really want to get back in this ball game, it may not be on the arm of Drew Bledsoe, but on the feet of Curtis Martin.
3rd and 3. Bledsoe, complete. Very close to a first down. Corwin Brown makes the tackle. Troy Brown with another tough catch.
See,
and they got the first down.
They're trying to make it tough on the announcers. Early it was Aaron Glenn on Terry Glenn. Then they line up Troy Brown on Corwin Brown. Are there any other guys who have the same last name who we need to know about?
I tell you what, Corwin was right there. Troy with a terrific catch.
And, people named Brown all around the country saying I'm related to both of them.
First down for Brown and the Patriots. Martin. Dwayne Gordon hits him right away. And right now, back to Greg Gumbel in New York for another update. Greg?
All right, Michael, in Dallas, a pass interference call on Kevin Smith set up Mark Brunell for a 1-yard touchdown pass to Derek Brown in the third quarter. However, the Cowboys have just come back to put some points on the board and grab a 26-22 lead. Extra point pending, just over 7 minutes to play in Big D, Mike.
Thank you, Greg. Exciting one in Dallas. Exciting one here in East Rutherford. 2nd and 8 for the Patriots. Bledsoe, Brown again. And Brown has the first down up to the 44-yard line. Marvin Jones with the tackle. Boy, Troy Brown really doing an excellent job. His 5th catch.
And not that Troy Brown has not done a good job today. You don't want to go to the well too often. The first couple of times we threw the ball to Troy Brown, he's wide open. Now that the coverage is starting to catch up with who this guy is. A guy who has been very silent this game is Keith Byers. And if I'm the coaching staff, Larry Kennan and Carl Smith, I find a way to get Keith Byers involved in this game offensively.
Brown has 5 catches, 20 for the season. His career high is 21 from last year. Bledsoe under pressure and throws it away. Jerome Henderson down in the backfield. Keith Byers was the receiver out there, but Mo Lewis was right on him.
Yeah, and Mo Lewis has the headset that is linked up directly to our telecast, so he knows when Keith Byers is going to be in it. And Mo Lewis is a guy who has come up with the big plays, not only sacking the quarterback in the coverage, he gets a jam on Ben Coates, and then he transfers himself over to Keith Byers. And that's not easy, because most linebackers would say, I really got to stop Ben Coates, ride him too far up the field, and then keep Byers out in the flat for 5 yards, and then run up the field after the catch.
2nd and 10, Curtis Martin. Victor Green misses. He's still going, and Lewis takes him down at about the 49. It'll be a 3rd and about 5 coming up for the Patriots. One more time, let's head across the river. Greg Gumbel with another update. Mr. Gumbel.
All right, Mr. Breen, it's just a busy kind of day in Dallas. Troy Aikman with the quick pop to Herschel Walker. See you later. 64 quick yards to the end zone, and the Dallas Cowboys have regained the lead against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now 26-22, just under 6.5 to play. Mike.
Can't tackle Herschel Walker up around the shoulders. It's too big up there.
3rd and 4. Bledsoe has no one open, throws it complete to Sam Gash, but a penalty marker on the play.
And I think this penalty flag is going to be on Ben Coates. He grabbed the defensive back, jerked him, and used that guy as leverage to get himself open.
Against the Jets.
I think they're pointing the wrong direction.
Holding, number 31, defense. That penalty is declined. 1st down.
Aaron Glenn. Gash gets the 1st down just beyond the 40-yard line. Glenn, who was really banged up earlier, what appeared to be a thumb injury, back in and shaking his head right now.
Yeah, and if he had hurt his thumb, he's saying, how can I hold anybody?
I think he's saying a few more choice words than that after that play. Bledsoe faced out by Mo Lewis, and Lewis had his hand on him, and Bledsoe could get nothing on the throw. Coates was in the vicinity. Mo Lewis is having a very strong game today.
Yeah, and you know what? Why he's doing it? Because Mo Lewis, after 7 years of football, finally went into the weight room. I mean, he had passed by there to pick up the sodas and stuff like that. But this offseason was the first time that he lifted weights in his career. And he was kind of at a crossroads. Because in his career, #1 pick, but he had never been a great player. And he was almost sliding to become one of those players that people said, well, he never lived up to his potential. And he didn't want for the NFL record to read Mo Lewis. He didn't do it.
Curtis Martin and Marvin Jones quickly in the backfield to make the tackle. Lewis a few years ago was on the verge of becoming one of the better linebackers in the league, but he was overweight, some injuries. He admits it, says the new coaching staff has challenged him, and he's refocused, in shape, and as you said, with the weight room. Hard to believe a player in this day and age, it's the first time he's in the weight room.
Well, that makes you realize just what a great athlete this guy was. And he went to Georgia, playing his football down there. If you're good enough, a lot of times the coaches don't push you to become great.
That's a huge 3rd down play, 3rd and 7. Bledsoe has plenty of time. Incomplete. Broken up by Ray Mickens. Brisby, the intended receiver. And 4th down for New England.
I think that Brisby drops this ball before Mickens really gets in there to break it up. He doesn't fight for this ball. This is a critical juncture of the game. You have a chance to make a play. You lunge your body at that ball. You make sure that you come up with it. I take it back. Mickens gets that arm in there. Maybe that's why Brisby didn't look upset, because he didn't have a chance for it. Mickens gets that long right arm in there and swats that ball away.
They are on their feet at the Meadowlands, and Bledsoe has to call a timeout with a 4th and 7 coming up.
I think Bledsoe calls timeout because Troy Brown is standing on the sideline. That's the guy wanting. He's the hot guy right now.
Pete Carroll going for it on 4th and 7. Patriots at the 37.5-yard line of the Jets. They trail 24-19. Just under 5.5 to play, 4th quarter. Glenn in motion. Bledsoe shotgun. Looks downfield for Brisbee. Broken up. Raymond Austin.
It's an incredible non-call. You have a defensive back covering a wide receiver who doesn't look back for the ball. There's contact. You get the flag 9 times out of 10 on that play. But also, this is kind of the NBA rule. Late in the ball game, critical juncture, let the guys play.
Austin, the 5th-round pick out of Tennessee, the rookie. He just looked back at the last second.
No, he looked back after that ball hit his hand.
So the Jets take over at their own 37.5.
Once again, Brisbee's right there. He was there on 3rd down. You fight your way back to that ball. You make Austin contact you even earlier. You don't wait for that ball to come down. Catch it at its highest point.
Foley completes to Keyshawn Johnson, breaks a tackle. And Johnson down to the 37-yard line. 12 straight completions for Glenn Foley, a 26-yard gain.
Yeah, and he put his finger in the face of Jimmy Hitchcock after that one. He had his words. I think both guys had saved the press clippings off of last game. Keyshawn Johnson does a good time in the timing of that pattern. Foley throws it soft enough. We commented earlier when the ball was thrown to Keyshawn Johnson in the end zone, don't make him outrun somebody to get it. That's not his game. He's big enough, physical enough. Stop him in his tracks. Let him fight for the football.
Tell you what, the timing of an unsportsmanlike corner penalty, we have some whistles, would not be good. And Johnson's got to forget about that stuff. That would be a costly penalty for the Jets. You start getting into that, getting into this
and you get
macho
stuff.
stuff.
You get 5 officials down. You talk about macho to separate Matt O'Dwyer and Henry Thomas. And Thomas talked to him before the game. He said, this is a strong physical guy. His motor runs a little hot.
Neutral zone infraction, number 55 on the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
Willie McGinnis.
Now, does that mean he wasn't unabated to the quarterback? Just a neutral zone infraction. So did he move in the neutral zone and the offensive lineman then concurrently moved? And when that offensive lineman moves, if the defensive guy is in the neutral zone, then it's actually a penalty on the defense.
That's the rule they changed a few years back. 1st and 5. Foley complete to Baxter. And Baxter looks like he got a 1st down. They're going to mark it at the 26-yard line.
You know, when this season started, Kyle Brady was listed as the #1 tight end. And Fred Baxter was listed as the 2nd-string tight end. I believe now it's 1A and 1B. Kyle Brady is primarily a blocker, but Baxter has really come along and shown some really good receiving skills and the ability to get downfield, to shake a defender. 13 consecutive passes. 13 passes thrown in a row could be the nail in the coffin of number 14, the guy standing over on the sideline.
Foley has been brilliant in the second half. Richie Anderson on the handoff, and Anderson goes nowhere. Mike Jones makes the tackle.
He went nowhere, but it was the tone of that play. At the tail end of it, Jones is coming up to make the stop, and he just throws his forearm into him. Anderson just bulks himself into this guy. This is not a passive team. They're not a team that's sitting back on their heels. Bill Parcells gave them the week out of pads, but with the underlying threat that if we don't get it done, we're going to have 2, maybe 3 days during the bye week.
2nd and 7. Foley, complete. Graham, shy of the 1st down. Taken down at about the 18-yard line.
And obviously, I'm doing my math. That's 14 in a row. Neil O'Donnell, he's standing there, and parts of him, he wants to cheer, but he's just standing there. You got to get behind your team, put your little beanie hat on or whatever, and start cheering. Because Foley's directing the ship now. You don't know if it's going to be for 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever. But he's giving you guys the best chance to win right now in this ballgame.
It's human nature to have mixed feelings. 3rd and 3. And Foley has to throw it away. Good pressure. Willie McGinnis and Henry Thomas in the backfield. And John Hall will come on. A field goal would give the Jets an 8-point lead. 3 minutes remaining. Patriots still have 2 timeouts left. And the consecutive completions for Glenn Foley ends at 14 in a row. Now Hall has already missed from 35 yards. And also a 68-yarder at the end of the first half.
But obviously this gives them an 8-point bulge in the ball game, which then makes the Patriots go for 2. They want to try and tie this ball game up.
This is a 36-yarder and a big one. And he missed it. A crucial miss from John Hall.
And they've all been in that 34, 35, 36-yard range. He's just pushing that ball out to the right and leaving it out there.
Bill Parcells, not a pleasant stare as Hall has the Jets come away empty. 2:56 remaining. Patriots have 3 timeouts left.
Coming up next on our NFL on NBC doubleheader, the Broncos, the Raiders. John Elway leads the league's only undefeated team against Jeff George and arch rival Oakland. Or Dan Marino and the Dolphins take on the Ravens. Or Cordell Stewart and the Steelers battle the Bengals. The NFL on NBC next.
Patriots 1st and 10 at their own 26. There's your time remaining in the 4th. They have 2 timeouts left. Bledsoe, complete to Brisby. He's hit hard by Henderson, but he's got it up to the 33-yard line. Second and 2. Well, with an 8-yard pickup. Bledsoe, plenty of time. Complete to Meggett. And Meggett's got the first down up to the 42. Chad Cascadden makes the tackle. And the Patriots, the hurry-up offense, no huddle.
You know, and what this does to the New York Jets is at some point they have to get up and pressure Drew Bledsoe with more than a 3-man pass rush.
Bledsoe dumps it off. Incomplete. Meggett, the intended receiver, but apparently he slipped. And the MetLife Blimp Snoopy 1 has teamed up with NBC Sports to provide you with aerial coverage of today's game between the Patriots and the Jets. MetLife Blimp typically cruises at a speed of 35 miles per hour at an altitude of 1,200 feet. Thank you for some nice shots, gentlemen, this afternoon.
How long can it stay up in the air?
That's beyond my limitations. I only know a few facts. 2nd and 10. Blitz is on. Victor Breen. And Breen takes down Bledsoe. 3rd sack of the game for the Jets. And of course, remember, Green and Bledsoe went nose to nose in the first matchup up in Foxborough.
Timeout. 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning. Patriots with a 3rd and 19 coming up. Victor Green with a huge play. Jets still in front.
You know, Victor Green comes unabated off the side. That's an official term there. No one to block him, no one to pick him up. And think back, turn the clock back. Victor Green gets involved with Ben Coates at the goal line, but then they go cheek to cheek. A little tete-a-tete. And, you know, Drew thought the flag was on Green there, but they threw it on him.
And that sack from Green makes it a 3rd and 19. Patriots just shy of their own 34.
Just 2-down situation here.
And whistles. And again, hard to hear the whistle. This place is really erupting. And it's a false start against the Patriots. And the crowd coming into play.
Otis Smith is on top of Sean Jefferson. He's giving them that fake jab like we saw
false start.
Lynn do earlier in the ball game.
Number 84 offense moving prior to the snap. That's a 5-yard penalty. 3rd down. Please reset the game clock to 2 minutes.
He gives them that fake jab, and he's out there. He's not looking at the ball. He's watching the defensive back, so he thinks that the ball has been snapped.
3rd and 24. Bledsoe dumps it off. Martin tackled from behind by Hugh Douglas. Up to about the 36-yard line. That's Douglas's first tackle. Fourth and 18.
Timeout.
And the Patriots will use one of their timeouts, so they have one remaining.
30-second timeout.
This game in the first half was a defensive struggle. Second half, the offenses have exploded. Jets with a 5-point lead. (24-19) Jets lead. 1:41 remaining, fourth quarter. A 4th and 18. Bledsoe fires. Jefferson. Incomplete. And the Jets will take over. Jefferson furious with the call. And they say it hit the carpet.
And he's got his helmet off now. That should cost him 15. Pete Carroll goes out to usher him off the field.
Incomplete pass. The ball hit the ground first. First down for New York.
You know, Drew's asking Zolak there, did it hit the ground? Because there's enough room to get the ball in here. Bledsoe has to move in the pocket. Good job by Logan coming from the outside. Just enough pressure in his face. He has to throw off his back foot. Boy, that looks like a reception.
Well, it's hard to see after he initially touched the ball whether it dropped below because his body kind of got in the way. I don't think you can really tell on that particular play. Leon Johnson gets down to about the 32. And the Patriots will call a timeout. Kyle Brady getting into some shoving out there. That's your time remaining.
You could almost see Pete Carroll's lips going, are you sure about the call? Here's another angle. So come back for the ball. I don't see the ball hit the ground. I see elbows on the ground on that one.
I can't say for sure. It's very difficult. Right there, it looks like he has it, but then you can't tell. His elbow kind of covers it up. That's a difficult call. Two officials called it at the same time running in.
Well, you know, the way to solve this is to make the ball a day glow color, like a real bright yellow. Then you can tell.
So a 2nd and 8. And Bill Parcells, team trying to hold on here.
I mean, the Jets have this one in the bag. The Patriots with no timeouts remaining. You run a play off the clock, then you bleed 40 more seconds off the clock, and the ball game is over.
And questions for the Jets. You saw Neil O'Donnell.
Right now you have 84 seconds on the clock.
And the Patriots out of timeouts.
The next time the ball is snapped, you'll have 43 seconds on the clock, and Glenn Foley becomes, you know, not the pitcher of record, but he's the quarterback of record in this ball game. He should get the win. You know, the starter went in there. You had to get a long reliever to come in to fill for him. He got this team up and down the field for 3 touchdowns, completed 14 passes in a row at one stretch, but just seemed to ignite a fire under a listless Jet team, a team that had been listless since the second half of last week's ball game against the Dolphins.
And Foley will kneel down to finish this one up. And 4th down coming up. Foley absolutely brilliant in the second half. 17 of 22, 200 yards. 1 touchdown pass, but as you mentioned, James, first 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns after the Jets did not score a TD in the first half. Neil O'Donnell was ineffective. Parcells made the change. And now the question is next week, who will start? And actually, the Jets have a bye next week, and then they play home against Baltimore. So 2 weeks to talk about the quarterback controversy.
And what Foley was thinking there is, you know, I don't want to throw this ball out the end zone like Neil O'Donnell had to. I want to keep this ball. But he's throwing it deep, and he needs to get somebody down there to get that ball, because that's his game ball. The guy in row 1 has his game ball right now. Glenn Foley needs that ball so he can put it on the shelf at home.
Foley magnificent, and the Jets now 5-3 on the season. A huge win for them here in front of their home fans. Patriots fall to 5-2, and a salute from Bill Parcells, who still has a lot of close friends on this Patriots team, including his man Keith Byers. Neil O'Donnell, a rough first half. Certainly happy his team won, but mixed emotions for the veteran quarterback. Once again, the final score, the Jets 24, the Patriots 19.
When you look at the series between these two, they've now split. And this puts the Jets back in that divisional race. They're 2-3 in the AFC East now, and they have a chance. Their playoff hopes are still alive.
Coming up next on NBC, except in New York, it's game 2 of our doubleheader. Many of you will see the Broncos battle the Raiders, or the Dolphins take on the Ravens. And later tonight, game 2 of the 1997 World Series. Here's the football games. Cleveland Indians face the Florida Marlins tonight. For James Lofton, Len Berman, and our entire crew, this is Mike Breen. Final score, the Jets 24, the Patriots 19. You've been watching the NFL on NBC, network of the...
Johnson used to say it gets very interesting. Week 3, Tuna Bowl 1, overtime. Jets could have won it for Parcells, but the Patriots and Pete Carroll win in overtime at Foxborough 27-24. Well, the NFL says this was so good we're going to have round 2 of the Tuna Bowl before we even set our clocks back. That weather pattern we've been seeing, it's not El Nino, it's El Tuna. Here we go. Bill Parcells, somewhere in the swamps of Jersey. Pete Carroll. Can the Patriots beat their old coach twice this year? Very early pressure on Drew Bledsoe. Jerome Henderson picks it off and returns it. Cut it, go, or a good part of the way, 41 yards. On the ensuing drive, the Jets take over, and Adrian Morrell runs it up the middle. Umpire Ed Kukar knocked down. He hits the turf. But you know what? These guys are tough. He sat out for a couple of plays. I mean, that's tough. Sat out for a couple of plays, and he was back. It was that sort of game. When the drive stalled, John Hall kicks well against everybody except the Patriots. 35-yard field goal, no good. He thought it was good. It's no good. And Bill Parcells has that look. But what about the Jets defense, Tom?
Well, Jets front did a good job of executing the game plan there. Mo Lewis coming up the middle of the field. Now you're going to see Mo Lewis and Jason Ferguson both get there, putting good pressure on Drew Bledsoe. After the Patriots pin the Jets deep, though, with the Jets up 3-0 in the second quarter, Neil O'Donnell, where he's most dangerous in his own end zone. Oh, no. It's grounded. It's a safety, but don't worry, the Jets still lead 3-2. A 3-2 score. But then, scary moment. Pepper Johnson helping to tackle Curtis Martin. Left leg bends backwards. A torn left quadricep tendon. Surgery could be the end of a marvelous career. 3 seconds left in the half. A 68-yard field goal by John Hall. He has the leg, but it's no good. So, if you're tuning in late, here's how the scoring went. New York opened up with a 3-run homer by Tito Martinez. Boston came back with a 2-run homer by Mo Vaughn. Then, Boston kept it going when Carl Yastrzemski stepped to the plate, hit a 3-run homer, and that's where we stand at the half. Boston 5 and New York 3. But then, shall we play football, Tom? Let's have some more scores. Hey, throw him the damn ball. Still, third quarter 5-3. Drew Bledsoe to Troy Brown and his band of renown. He uses Otis Smith like a coat hanger, and he picks up 67 yards, setting up a Ben Coates touchdown pass from Bledsoe, 12-3. Combination of good arm strength and bad tackling on the part of Otis Smith. The Jets bench Neil O'Donnell in the third quarter, and they go for fourth-year pro Glenn Foley. Foley to Morrell to Dedrick Ward. Look at Foley out in front throwing a block. His block is on the 35-yard line, however, but you like the effort. This sets up a Leon Johnson touchdown run. Third quarter, Pete Carroll's Pats up just 12-10. Bledsoe to Troy Brown. Lucky to make the turn. Touchdown. 23 yards, 19-10, New England. The Jets, behind Foley,
mount their comeback. And Foley's looking deep on play action. He's got Jeff Breen open. It's a tip. Oh, he dropped the ball. Would have been a touchdown. Foley says, okay, let's go short then. Richie Anderson, 5 yards. Jeff Graham, I know you're going to catch everything I throw now. 17 yards. Keyshawn, throw him the damn ball. 13 yards. Throw him the short ball. 4 yards. That sets up from the 5. Adrian Merle, right up the gut. Touchdown. The Jets trail it 19-17. Look at Parcells. Looks like Jackie Gleason in the Honeymooners. Fourth quarter. Foley, Graham, 5 straight completions. Foley, Graham, 6 straight completions. Foley. Look at this. The flea flick. It's Keyshawn, 8 straight. Graham, 9 straight. Kyle Brady, 10 straight. Foley, Lorenzo Neal, touchdown. 24-19 Jets, 11 straight completions. Next, Foley to Keyshawn, 12 straight. He rustles a pass to Fred Baxter, 13 straight. To Graham, 14 straight completions. Guy didn't even start the game. Amazing. Neil O'Donnell. Well, I guess I'll be watching for a while. Jets stalled on the drive. John Hall, 36-yard field goal. It's wide right. Look at this. If every picture tells a story, that tells about 8 stories. Minute 45 to go in the game. 24-19 Jets. Bledsoe, Deshaun Jefferson. Did he make the catch? Ruled incomplete, Tom.
It certainly looked like he did a good job of scooping the ball up. The only thing that counts, however, is the official's call.
Carroll is stunned. He says it was a completion. Parcells says, let's move on up. Let's move on out with a win. And the New York Football Jets have beaten the Patriots 24-19. The Jets a half a game behind New England for first in the conference. Their record is 5-3 behind the Pats 5-2. Hey, Glenn Foley. Hard to get much better than him. 17 at 23, 200 yards. Next game, which will be 2 weeks from now for the Jets. Does Foley start?
Coach is the one making the decisions. I'm just going to go and do what he asked me to do, and if he wants me to play, I won't say no.
I wasn't happy with it. I'm not used to being standing on the sideline like that, but he made a call. It worked, so we're happy with it.
Okay. I'll decide what we're going to do. He played well. We thought he could play well. He'd been practicing well. I just thought we needed a spark.
Spark. Oh, man, did they have a spark. And now, again, the Jets are off next week, so there's 2 weeks to get ready. Are we seeing the change maybe, Tom? I mean, it's hard to tell what Bill's going to do. Glenn Foley, hello.
I think Glenn Foley first, we speak to his performance today. 6 of those 6 incompletions, 2 of those were, one, a throwaway at the end of the game, another on a scramble, throwing the ball away on purpose. So he really, to my way of thinking, had only 4 incompletions. He played with poise. He was effective in a game that they had to win, a big game performance. And I think more importantly, when his team needed him. You saw when he came on the field, the attitude of the football team changed. It picked up. Now, what you have, if you're Bill Parcells, is an extra week to make a decision, and he does have a decision.
Well, you can see just them coming to the line of scrimmage was different. Now, does Bill Parcells have Drew Bledsoe's number, or at least not his number, but figured him out? Because Drew, throwing on the run today, was not comfortable.
Well, I think that certainly Bill Parcells knows that he wants to get Drew Bledsoe out of the pocket. He wants to put people in his face, but I think that could be said of many quarterbacks. We always talk about a guy being ineffective when he's under pressure. Well, I think that in the case of Drew Bledsoe, there is a real dramatic difference between him standing in the pocket, looking downfield and throwing, and him having to move and throw, him having to think about that rush.
Although the numbers, 24 of 38, 294, 2 touchdown passes for Bledsoe. But at key moments, he was flustered a little bit. What a baseball and a football game.
Well, it's World Series time.